What's up, our good people of the internet? This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we are here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios for another edition of Tortora and Alford. And of course, Isaac Alford, myself, Dan Tortora, bringing you this element of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a feature that we have here exclusively, Tortora and Alford, and these Cafe Kubal studios. You can go to Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse. You can also go to 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-thru location. If you're out of town, go to cafekubal.com. Support this wonderful local company at cafekubal.com. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm wearing my We the North hat.
We the North.
You know, so, and a lot of people know that this is obviously a Raptors hat, but it's funny because people look at you weird, and sometimes I'll be down south in Florida, and they're like, we
Yankee.
the North. And I look at them and I go, yeah, I went for the North in the Civil War. And we won.
We know a Yankee when we see one.
Oh, yeah. You damn Yankee. I actually had somebody in North Carolina, a girl that I dated. Her parents were like, we can't trust him. And she's like, why? And they're like, because he's a New Yorker. He's a Yankee.
Oh.
And I was like, what does that even mean?
Those New Yorkers. You know what that means. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
he was like, it's a wolf. They're like, they're going to defile our daughter. I'm like, what do you think we do up in New York?
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
there you go.
nasty. I told you I dated a girl that was in that Wolf of Wall Street movie. It felt like I don't want to talk about that.
There you
but
go.
Let me tell you.
Another topic for another time.
Let me tell you something. She made Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie look a tame mouse. College football climate, and and most of the time you get to hear me freak out about the reality of the fact that the polls out here don't always make a whole lot of sense, and so we'll discuss that today. We appreciate you being here. Wake Up Call's normal select time for you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. Tonight we are with you on YouTube and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and we've taken a look at this. Some people on Monday got to see some of our thoughts about Notre Dame. Bring me into your take on that Notre Dame game, your biggest takeaways from Syracuse's performance, which seemed lackluster, and we saw Garrett Trader go out. We saw Garrett Williams go down, unfortunately, and God bless to him and his family, with a torn ACL. He's done for the year, and that rehab can take up to a year, and we know that with some people, in the case of Adrian Peterson, took 8 months, but, hopefully sooner than later he'll be okay. I think right now he was projected in the top 40 as a draft pick in the NFL, so just hoping good things for him, but love to get your thoughts on 41-24 Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I think just kind of like we said going into it, it was going to be a physical game. And one thing we didn't know going into it was Garrett Schrader was a little banged up, probably from the Clemson game. Yeah. We kind of off air kind of speculated, it could have been that push out of bounds or whatever. Whoever knows what it was, but definitely during that game you kind of noticed the offense wasn't the same. We know what this offense is through the first 7 games or whatever it may be. We've seen this offense, when it's clicking, it's more of the read option. Garrett Schrader's pulling it from Tucker because everybody's keying on Sean Tucker running the balls, and they always gave Garrett Schrader enough time to pull it, and he could beat a defensive end around the corner or a linebacker that has a bad angle. And this game, you didn't see that, and when they hand the ball straight to Sean Tucker, the defense was, again, like I said, keying on them, and the offense was just not the same. Right. And then, if that was the case, I think my opinion is I would have preferred that coaches like Carlos Del Rio Wilson come in from the beginning, because we saw what he sparked them in the second half, brought them back within 7 points, and gave the team an opportunity to get back into that game. But to me, Syracuse has to, for them to be successful, they have to play to their strength. And their strength is read option with the quarterback and running back combo, finding around the gasket. And then giving Tucker the ball in space and let him do his thing. Defense has always been solid. We've talked about, the Notre Dame team. They kind of bullied, not literally, but they played tough old school football. They ran the ball against the defense, and when the offense is not clicking and going 3 and out, it just wore down the defense, and that's basically what happened to them. And some timely, special team moments kind of shifted the momentum of the game real late. So, but you know what? Syracuse just got to regroup, get prepared for Pitt, and it's going to probably be another physical game with Pitt.
Yeah, and you bring up that the whole point of it, Garrett Schrader and what he's able to do with that read option, the delayed handoff, and how many times we've seen it. He's faked me out. He's faked the cameras out. Where he fakes it to Sean, and you see Sean run out into the end zone, and the defense starts to shift, and then all of a sudden the play starts to develop on the left side, and Garrett will walk in. So he's really good at it. But you had speculated in the Notre Dame game when he came out that early on in the game that it was his ankle, and if he can't make that first step and he's not able to make that transition, make that move. If he knows I'm not 100%, and every time he steps on that ankle, he might not show the team, but he might be like in his mind, like, oh my God, this pain is killing me.
Right.
If he knows I can't do this right now, and he takes that away from himself, it takes away a huge element of the team, because the reality of it all is if Garrett Schrader can't run, the offense can't run, because Garrett Schrader makes this offense what it is based on the fact that he's multiple and based on the fact that he can make a quick decision and take off and do big things in the open field. So without that, it takes away from Sean Tucker. Without that, it breaks down the offense. And if he's got to have a delayed time in the pocket, this offensive line has proven that they struggle to keep him protected.
And you've seen that in the season that when they do struggle like that, he has the legs to get out of the pocket, get away from defensive linemen that are trying to chase him down and get maybe 10, 15 yards down the field. And I think even in that Notre Dame game, I think in the second quarter, he maybe did the read option once. And he gained 7 yards. That's how effective it is. But it wasn't his normal run,
Yeah.
So, and then like I told you, he was limping to the sideline, in between maybe commercial breaks or whatever when they're coming to the sideline. So he definitely got to have a healthy Garrett Schrader for the team. I told you, to me, he proved what he needed to do the first 6 games, got the team bowl eligible. And from this point on, I mean, they're playing with house money to me. Let's go out and be creative with the offense. If we got to play the backup, so be it. It's no, like, okay, Dino says no quarterback controversy at the press game conference. Okay, that's fine. We don't say you got to replace Schrader, but let the best people on the field that's going to be able to give you a chance to win.
Well, and the thing is, we've seen it, and I think one of the most egregious moments that we've seen in the NFL is how many times does Julio Jones have a foot or an ankle injury, and Atlanta would play him and play him and play him and play him, and you're thinking, is this Julio? Is this Atlanta? Is it both? Because sometimes you tell a player and they don't care, they want to keep going.
Right.
And other times they're like, well, we need you out there. And so sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. But in the case of Julio Jones, every year I would say it. He's on the thing with an ankle injury, he played. He's on it with a foot injury, he played. I said, you realize it's only a matter of time where he's going to be out, because this is what happens. And he played for like 3 weeks on it, and people are like, oh, he's scoring touchdowns in fantasy, and then he'd be out for 8 weeks.
Right.
And in the case of Garrett Schrader, like you said, they've won 6 games. They're bowl eligible. They're not going to a New Year's Six bowl at this moment. So they're going to be playing between December 13th and December 31st. So we know within those few weeks that's going to happen. They won't play on Christmas because I think only Hawaii has done that. So we know they're going to be playing sometime in December. Why risk injuring more your quarterback that you need in the bowl game, that you need later in the season? I would rather have Schrader for Florida State and be like, all right, you know what? And especially if Notre Dame is going to come in with those big bodies to do all this stuff. Listen, Wake's got good players. Florida State's got good players. Pitt, we all know the Pitt's defense. Those guys go to the NFL. But the reality of it all is if going into the game after a Clemson game, and they've been banging bodies against a huge Clemson team and a great team that Dabo always puts together, you don't play them against Notre Dame and let them get beat the hell up again. Give them a week or 2 off and let them be ready for Florida State.
Yeah, but I think you said it, though. I think, and even kind of Dino hinted in the press conference, too. it was Notre Dame, and everybody want to have that opportunity to say they played against Notre Dame, and I get it, but
So play for one series, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what I thought about that, because a lot of things I watched and heard, some people were saying that okay, the first drive, well, we know what happened on the first drive,
Yeah.
but that second drive he came back and led the team to a touchdown, so it's like, okay, maybe it's
So he scored against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Call of the day.
Well, yeah, it should have been that.
Like Cooper Lutz, remember?
Right.
At Notre Dame last year,
Right.
He scored that huge touchdown. The game was already over,
Right.
but he can say he scored in Notre Dame, in South Bend, touchdown Jesus.
Right.
He can say he made it in the end zone, and he could tell his great-great-great-grandkids, I scored at Notre Dame, against Notre Dame.
Exactly.
Right?
So, I mean, and like you just said, hey, he led the offense to a scoring drive. So, if you had that information, and I think the coach said it was watching them, and they made that call after halftime. But, I think that's what it mostly was. It's just one of those situations where they were like, okay, this is Notre Dame in our house. I'm going to give it whatever I can and see how it goes. But when you get to a point where the game is going to, you're like, all right, am I hurting the team or I'm helping the team? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At that point, you got to say, hey, next man up. Let's see what we can do.
Well, and I mean, on the first drive, the first play, I'm almost never. I mean, if you want to catch somebody off guard and you're a dominant running team, maybe. But I just have this like unspoken rule in my head in football that the first drive, first play of the entire game should be a run.
Mm-hmm.
And, he passes. And let me just put it to you like this, folks, for those of you who don't know. Garrett Schrader looked at Aronde Gadsden the way that Isaac looks at me when I say something inappropriate. It's just like... And when they showed the replay of him looking at Aronde, I'm like, wow, people that were watching, the people that could have climbed on the top of the dome and peeked through. I mean, I'll put it like this: the Goodyear blimp. Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
The Goodyear blimp that couldn't see anything would have saw that Garrett Schrader was looking at Aronde.
You read my mind. Exactly.
Yeah, I love how no matter how many times on TV they shot the blimp had the same picture. Blimp could have flown over 3 days before the game and then gone off somewhere else, and they kind of kept cutting to it going, what are you seeing up there? Well, Bob, I see a giant marshmallow that looks like it has a roller coaster on it. Hi. You know what I mean? Every time they showed it, it was the same picture.
Yeah. Did it...
I mean, it's cool to have the blimp
It's cool.
here.
It was cool.
For us.
Yeah.
For the people that could see it.
Yeah, it was cool to have it. But the whole purpose of it is to get that aerial shot of the game. But, yeah.
Think about it like this. You had to make a choice that day. You had to make a choice on Saturday, October 29th. Did you want to see the blimp or did you want to see the game? Because you couldn't do both. And in any other stadium, you would be sitting at the game watching the blimp the whole time.
Right.
In Syracuse, you had to say, do I want to sit in my backyard, look at this blimp, or do I want to watch Syracuse play?
Man, what if we did have an open air stadium on that first play? Notre Dame players would have been watching the blimp. Schrader would hit that pass to Rondé over the middle. Yeah. Everything would have been great. Man, I'm just saying, but you didn't have that. So.
No, you don't have the... I always think about the camera that ABC has, the one that swings down when you yelled, sit the bench down. And they had the camera that's on the ropes. And I always think, because that camera looks like it's going to hit the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, what if it hits an official? Because the way it comes down and the way it, like, swings around, I'm thinking whoever's controlling that, if something gets caught or if somebody makes a decision too far, where's this going to go? Because it's supposed to get all those, like, cool, like Madden type and, like, these different angle type shots where you feel like you're on the field and you can watch fan view and whatnot. But at the same time, it's a dangerous thing because every time I see it at any arena, I'm always thinking, what if it gets too low? What if it glitches?
Right. Get stuck on the wrong moment,
Yeah.
Here I'm trying to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like, you never know.
What if it's like, it starts, and then you hear that, you know what I mean?
But you never know. You have to be careful with those things, man. The operator of that camera is pretty... He's pretty good.
Very important. The operator of that camera is more important than the operator of the camera of the Goodyear blimp. Not because he's bad cameraman, but they came to us. I mean, I feel like Goodyear, nobody told them, and they showed up with the blimp, and then they went, oh, so the stadium's closed because it's 2 days before the game. Like, no, it's closed forever. And the guy was like, well, what do you want us to do? He's like, I want you to take some pictures, some aerial shots. So what are we supposed to do? I need you to fly in a circle for 4 hours, and I need you to get I need you to get angles of the blimp, or I get angles of the marshmallow. And every time they showed, it was like they're on the left side of the marshmallow, then they were in front of the marshmallow, but nothing changed. I would have gone like, I mean,
I'd probably went over like the lake or somewhere and got some different shots of Syracuse.
Show the Finger Lakes,
yeah,
how they're supposed to look like fingers,
yeah, something like that.
You know,
exactly.
Show me and Isaac walking. From
How far
Egypt.
we have to go?
Yeah. You know, and all those girls on the dating apps are always sitting on camels. Let me tell you something. I'm going to be real about this. I'm going to look you in the eye when I say this to you. There are not enough white women in America that are sitting on camels in Egypt. I don't care what they say. I don't know one Caucasian woman that could tell me she sat on a camel in Egypt. But if you go on the dating app, every woman's caught a fish and every woman's been on a camel.
Wow.
You know? And Isaac and I have to walk. You know, like I mean, I'm just waiting.
Speaking of camels, we could use the camel to get to the doves.
Camel would have had water. Camel would have had something for us, made it fun. You know, some camels have cigarettes, but the reality of it all is like where Isaac and I have to walk from to get to the game. It's pretty much Erie Boulevard.
It feels like it, yeah. On a steep incline, so yeah.
It's like 1.5 miles.
Yeah. Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, plus stairs.
A hill.
Most of it's on a hill.
Yeah.
Then we have to walk by half the stadium, 3/4 of the stadium.
Past about 5-6 gates till we get to the gate that we're supposed to go into.
Yeah, because we could go in any gate, but for some reason we're only allowed to go into that gate.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like herding cattle. And it's funny because Isaac and I already knew before we asked anybody that other people in the media didn't get disrespected like this. But you and I were talking about it, and we talked to somebody about it, and they were like, oh, you guys got to park there? That's not even worth going. And I was like, I knew it. Where do you park? Across the street. I knew you did. So I'm outing some people right now. I hope Isaac doesn't mind. He gets real quiet when I do it.
No, not my past.
Yeah. Not my past that got me locked in the parking garage. Lady comes on to me. She's like, y'all don't need to be parking in here. I was like, don't I know? So, but yeah, I mean, it's a good track. If we get our steps in, we actually earn the right to eat the cookies.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
You know, even though it wasn't a victory, but, it still tastes the same.
Because there's other people that I see in the dome, and you know this, that don't make that walk and eat their cookies.
Yeah, eat those cookies.
Why don't you eat that cookie?
Leave some from others,
Oh my gosh, you know who I'm talking about. But I'm going to put it to you like this: NFL scouts, I appreciate you coming out this year. But I looked at this one guy at the beginning of the game, like 3 seconds in the first quarter, and something in my heart and my mind told me this man is eating the last brownie, and it was. There is never, no matter how many people eat the cookies, there's always something left. Mm-hmm. There was nothing left, and that's when we had, I think, at least 13 teams that were there that day.
No, it was like almost 30.
Was it 23? Was it that week? And the Liberty game had almost 32.
Oh,
this past one, the one that we saw recently here, I think was it the Purdue game?
It could have been Purdue, yeah.
There was a butt all in the front row.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy ate the brownie.
Yeah.
I remember looking at
They ate everything. It wasn't just a brownie.
No, they left that egg sampler special. Yeah, it was Purdue because it was early. And they gave us that weird, it's supposed to be a frittata, but it wasn't.
Okay, gotcha.
It was eggs and peppers and it was eggs, peppers, and the remnants of dreams lost, I guess. It's like they might as well have just cut up and put in parking passes to that garage. Because that's what that tasted like. But there was one day where the food, most of it was gone, the rest of it was bad. I legitimately ate lettuce with no dressing. I felt like a guinea pig. I'm sitting there eating lettuce, and then people but see, we get smart, and we go to the basketball games, and we hoard cookies. And we take
my secrets, can't tell everything. But it is true. It is true.
Yeah, we hoard cookies. And you have a good and true brother in your family when you come to the game and you miss the pregame meal and you sit down and he's sitting there eating his chocolate chip cookies, and I'm like, oh, good for him, I'm hungry. And then all of a sudden you see this hand just go like this and drop it down, and he's like, I got you this cookie. And I was like, what? Isaac got me a cookie. And if you know Isaac, he protects his cookies. So if he gives me a cookie.
Which ones do I protect, though?
White chocolate macadamia. The whitest cookie out there. I call it the white girl cookie. It is. No offense. I mean, everybody eats it, but, you know.
We know everybody eats it.
Yeah, it's just funny to me.
On it too.
He gets up there and he gets white chocolate macadamia, and he gets a half dozen, and it's 6 of the same. I'm like, Isaac, get one something different. And then after he leaves, I go up to the girl, I go, give me the blackest cookie you have.
Which are out of.
Which is the double chocolate mint, and they don't have it, which is an egregious joke to me because they're never out of white chocolate macadamia, but they haven't had double chocolate mint for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's
and
popular.
Those are so good.
It's popular, man.
More popular than yours because yours is always available.
Hey, always there. Always on time, you know.
They're like, you know what? Should we make these white chocolate macadamia and take them off the menu? And they'd be like, we can't. Because every game day, this guy buys $37 worth of white chocolate macadamia cookies. You're their top seller. You might be employee of the month.
I almost went after the basketball game. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know.
Yeah, we almost went, but we had good parking that day.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't have to walk that far. You know, that's part of the reason is that the cookies are on the way.
Yeah.
So it's become a tradition because we have to make the trek back feel better. And when the trek back is downhill.
Yeah, it's all gravy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Might as well make a appearance on Marshall Street.
And we might as well be doctors or nurses at this point because we have to walk by every hospital and pay a little visit, wave to the babies in the nursery
There you go.
on the way to the cookies. But
Kiss some babies and go get cookies.
yeah, that's all right. Go in there and just hang out. I wonder, like, how much do people monitor it? My buddy had a baby a couple of years ago, and he told me in the hospital, this has nothing to do with football, but it's important. He's sitting in the hospital, and he told me that they couldn't get up and like leave the room because they had to like register and like have the baby down and sign things because people were stealing babies.
Oh.
So like he couldn't go anywhere like without the baby because they said people were literally walking into rooms and taking people's babies and leaving the hospital.
That's sad. But I couldn't believe it though. There are people out there sick enough to do some stuff like that.
I mean, I had somebody eat my sandwich, and I think I know who it was at the Dome.
Yeah.
In 2020, somebody took my sandwich box, which means somebody got 2, but a baby?
A baby, yeah.
You know?
What's going on in this world, man? I'm telling you. It's just a bread. What's the baby gonna say? The baby can't say you're not my dad, or you know.
But I'm gonna tell you something. I told you that one girl that I dated when I went to meet her parents. I go, "Are these your parents, or did they take you as a baby into a cult?" Because I'm very confident there was a cult family. I was like, "This family's too weird." I was like, "Are you sure they're your?" And they were like a lot older.
Was there any resemblance in there? Or not?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Definitely not with the dad. Maybe a little bit with the mom's nose.
You was about to uncover some secrets there.
Yeah, I think that's why she got rid of me. I was about to get a tell-all HBO special. I was about to be the next Netflix, like, find all these people and whatnot. And they lived in this really tiny house where there's a really big yard. Nobody ever went outside. So there's probably a bunker underneath there.
Yeah, sounds like a Marvel special for you or something.
I think I found something. That's why they got rid of me. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you're better for getting out of that one.
Oh, I am.
That's like Get Out, know?
Yeah, and that whole movie was about racism. The whole movie was about racism. At the end, I was like, oh my Lord. He took a long road to racism. He could have just been like, hey, there's a bunch of white people here that drug up black people and keep them here forever. And I saw that movie and I was like, oh my God. And then I thought to myself, does this happen in Alabama? Or Arkansas?
Who knows? I don't know.
What state do you think probably does the craziest stuff? That like stuff we don't know about.
I don't want to feel.
I just pick one. We're not offending anybody. Who do you think is like the most tame state?
It's between southern Georgia and northern Florida to me.
Okay, all right.
You get right up in that area.
Yeah. I think it's Arkansas.
It's kind of dicey.
I think it's Arkansas or West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
West Virginia makes me a little
leery.
Yeah. I think the tamest place is probably Delaware or like Montana.
Yeah. Well, Montana's so far out. Yeah, it probably is.
And what you gonna do in Montana?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, I will say that.
Or Idaho.
But I also feel like it'd probably be easy to kill somebody and hide them.
Most likely, yeah.
You know, it's hard in like Atlanta 'cause there's people everywhere. You know, but if you're
Darn people in the way.
if you're in Boise, Idaho, and you kill somebody, you could drive, you know, down the street.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think anybody would ever check.
Never know.
I went to Princeton, North Carolina, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm confident that Jimmy Hoffa's body's there because there was nothing in Princeton. It was all flatlands.
Right.
And I talk to people from North Carolina, nobody ever admits to knowing about anything about Princeton. And I appreciate what Alan wrote in. He said Burnett Park Zoo has a camel. So we can go to the zoo. Actually, we park by the zoo.
It feels like
You might as well just take the camel from the Burnett Park Zoo. Why don't we do that?
I never thought of that. You know, yeah.
Well, would you ever steal an animal with me? Not to hurt it, but to like help ourselves. Like, would we ever? Now, I want to say steal. Would you ever?
Don't commit the crime.
Yeah. Would you ever borrow an animal with me to go on an adventure?
Depends on what the animal is.
What animal?
Like a horse or something.
Like, what animal would you be comfortable borrowing? Like,
not many, because I'm.
Like I say, will we like take Mike Tyson's tiger like they did?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh man.
Like, we had to steal a mascot. What mascot would you steal?
Maybe Bevo. You got to take the big steer, whatever he is, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because I feel like I don't know. I feel like it'd be cool to like get a tiger from someone.
Tiger, the tiger from LSU.
Yeah. Why not?
Or the buffalo from Colorado.
That could be.
That could be a possibility.
See, there's certainly like the Georgia Bulldog, right? It's a dog.
It's a dog,
right?
yeah. It's a dog. Dogs are dogs.
But it's like, you know, like...
You gotta have a beast of an animal.
Yeah, like I wish UAB had an actual dragon. I'd be stealing that. Like it's like the flyover instead of the Air Force, it would be me, and I'd be like Dracarys, and it'd be spitting fire and stuff, right? And I would like fly over the fans and like be close enough that it burned the tips of the hair of all the visiting, you know, UAB. Would that like to have an actual sleeping dragon?
I would definitely have to go to that game if they had a dragon.
I'm saying, I think UTSA should have a roadrunner on the field. You could never catch it,
right?
You know. But let's be real.
Put it in a uniform.
Yeah. Let's be real, yeah. I mean, let's be real about it. The dome security can't catch a overweight man taking 13 minutes to run across the field and took a break. So they didn't even catch
water
him.
break and everything. Yeah,
exactly. And then they watched him struggle to get up, let him get up like they felt bad, like you got this far. And then they watched him crawl up the thing and slowly get over. And at that point, I'm like, just let the man go. He beat y'all.
He won. That was the longest return in dome history.
It was also the longest waited return in dome history. And it was you were all on commercial break, and Isaac was talking to me, and he's sitting on my left, and we're talking, and then I think you said something.
I said, can you see this?
And I looked at the field, and I go, is that a dude on the field? And you were like, yeah. And he was at this point, he was at like the 13, maybe the 20, and I'm not coming this way. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, I literally was like, oh my Lord, is anybody going to catch this? And I'm watching him in slow motion run, and I'm going, is this happening? And then I'm thinking, you got to put this on TV. You got to cut back. The blimp tried to get it, couldn't. But I was like, you got to come back to this and show this. And I call my mom up. She goes, no, they never even mentioned it.
Oh, no, they don't. TV don't give you any play.
Yeah, I told Isaac I felt really secure in the dome.
TV don't give you any kind of play for those things, you know.
Yeah.
That's just what they do. They cut away from all that stuff, you know, so...
I feel like, though, I mean, sometimes they'll say, somebody will run out on, a Major League game, and they'll be like, there's a fan on the field, and then they kind of, have the angle blocking it because you don't know if the fan's naked.
Right.
And then they say it quick, and then they go to commercial.
Right. Now, if it's a cat on the field or
if it's a squirrel.
For 18 minutes. Yeah, you get a live shot, you know, so.
Yeah, I don't get how that works out.
I think it's just, preventing people from being the next hero. There's always a copycat out there, you know.
That's true.
I want my 5 minutes of fame, too. You know what I'm saying?
And what? But then they always have the video of the security guard tackling somebody, though. If there is one that does it.
Yeah, if you find one that can do it.
The one that looks like the wrestler, like a guy built like The Rock.
Right.
Who just, jumps and tackles somebody, and you're like, you got eligibility left?
We need you.
Yeah.
Sign up.
But it's crazy the things that we have seen in the dome and experienced in the dome, and what we just saw in the dome in the 41-24 game was I don't know how you felt, but in the second half, I just felt deflated. I felt like there was not a lot of energy, not a lot going on, and then Carlos Del Rio Wilson threw a pass like 60 yards to the right sideline, and there was life, and it went off the fingertips of Amari Hatcher, and then he aired it out to other people. I talked to JT Gear, starting DN for Syracuse, and I asked him about Carlos, and he kind of like looked like he smiled. And I mean, you guys can go back and watch it, but it looked like he smiled and liked the fact that Carlos opened up the offense. And then I talked to Trevor Pena, and he smiled and liked the fact that the offense got opened up. I asked Dino in the press conference, and you and I were both there for that. I asked Dino about Carlos Del Rio Wilson and how he played opening it up. And Dino said back to me, well, that was the plan the second half, no matter who was the quarterback, that we were going to open up the offense and throw to all these receivers. And I was like,
yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Because Schrader typically goes to Arande. He'll go to Arande and like pick one other guy each game. And we've seen Amari Hatcher get action once, Courtney Jackson once, Anthony Quealy barely, DeMarcus Adams once. And you look at this and you say, well, a bunch of these guys have touchdowns. Trevor Pena when he came back. But the ball doesn't get spread out. And talking to an offensive and a defensive player after the Notre Dame game, they both kind of looked almost like a breath of fresh air that Carlos Del Rio Wilson was throwing to multiple people.
Well, I think Schrader, like you say, he has a little habit of locking in on Arande. I mean, in my opinion, yeah, if a defensive coach, silly enough to just go one-on-one with Arande, we're just going to eat them up all day long. But now teams are starting to cover them with double teams or triple teams. But like you say, but the key thing that I noticed with Schrader too, though, when he's healthy and he's scrambling, most times he finds Damian Alford is when he scrambles. We've seen probably multiple plays this year where he's scrambling out of the pocket, and then Damian probably come across the field and he hits him for like a 20, 40-yard play.
Yeah, he's like by the sideline looking at
him. Yeah, but that's mostly the only time we get to see that. Or, or other receivers that, he feels comfortable with, but he definitely goes, if that's going to shine, he's going to Arande. But Cooper was getting a few catches early in the season, and then that kind of, I don't know if it's scripted and you get locked on option one, like we say, but sometimes you see plays happen. Me and you talked about this plenty of times. We'll see a play over the middle that works, and then we're like, where's that play going to? And it's just like, you don't see it for 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, come back to that play, back to it, and like you said, the more options you give the defense to worry about, it opens it up for everybody else. We just seen lately that, people know who to key on. It's not a secret.
Right, and you said it, you're like, here's Arande, and they go to him so much, and then there's been plays where you're like, why is it? You literally have said multiple games, multiple times, like, Isaac will look at me in the game and he'll go, why are they taking him off the field? Like, why is Arande coming off the field on 3rd down? But think about it like this, not only run that play, like when you didn't see him, run it again, and then they found Arande. How about this? How about run that play with Anthony Quealy? Run that play with Courtney Jackson. Run that play with Amari Hatcher. Run it to the other side. Like, if I know how to do it, if I know how to flip a play on Madden, and I know how to put receivers at different places, then, you know what I mean? If they're keying in on Arande, then why not have Courtney Jackson run to the middle of the field and then jet out to the left side? Because they're not prepared for Courtney. They're looking at Arande. He goes down middle. I'm telling you this. I know there's smart defensive coordinators, and I know the ACC is better than people give them credit for, and I'm not trying to say that people can't key in on things, but I would venture to say that there's a pretty darn good chance, better than 50% chance, that if they put Courtney in a route that normally they have Arande run, and they have if you put Damian Alford, he comes down, crosses the field, goes to the right side, or if he just goes out right in general to try and do a Statue of Liberty, you have Arande in the middle of the field, and then you have Courtney come in, go to the middle, and then jet out to the left. One of those guys is going to be open.
Right. You just put Arande in different spots. If they're going to key on Arande, have him be the decoy on that play where all right, you're going to clear out that spot. Like you said, then, okay, Schrader knows to read. All right, I got this guy going over here. But, you just got to get creative with it sometimes. I think maybe this is just year one of the offense, and we're just seeing a little potential of what they can be, because we know what they did in Virginia with this offense.
Yeah.
Top 5
and how
offense.
bad Virginia is without them.
Exactly. So,
so it's credit to Coach and I, and credit to Coach Beck, credit to Michael Johnson, the wide receiver coach, who didn't come from Virginia, but all of them working together.
Right.
But the reality of it all, to me, is how many times have we ever seen Syracuse bunch up their receivers this year? I don't know if we've seen it.
No, I don't think it's in this. No.
To bunch 3 and 1, right? And to do something like that, or to even have a bunch of guys in motion. Imagine how, and I'm thinking of Courtney and Trevor, imagine how multiple Syracuse offense gets with a healthy Garrett Schrader that can do the run-pass option. So he's got his RPO, you got Sean Tucker, and you put Trevor or Courtney in motion. And then you still have Rondé.
Right.
Like, I just don't understand speed. We have these guys that we found in history, Sean Riley, Trevor Pena, these shorter guys that are quick, good hands, can catch the ball in the middle of the field, don't care about contact, love the physicality, that have fearlessness. Why aren't we using that? We use Sean Riley. How many times did we sit there and say, why aren't they using Brisley Esteem more? Right. So, like, I'm sorry, or I'm not sorry, that if you don't use Trevor Pena, it's a disservice to your team, because this guy is your punt returner, he's your kick returner, and he's your wide receiver like every third game. They don't let him catch the ball, and I don't understand that. You got sure hands, you got a guy who'll go in the middle of the field, you have a guy who's fearless, you have a guy who's fast, you have a guy who can go in motion, you have a guy to do trick plays with, you have a guy to put in a split backfield. Why is Trevor Pena not the H-back, the tight end, wide receiver, running back that you've had in the past that can do it? And I think that's why Nykeem Johnson left, because Nykeem was this guy that as long as you got him the ball, that man was a road runner, but they'd throw to him like that once every 3 games.
Right. And that's, again, I don't know if it just comes down to scheme or the play calling, or we just, let the defense dictate what we're going to do on offense, and not just saying, hey, we know what your weakness is, and all right, you just got to stop what we know what you're not good at doing. So, I mean, and then it could be offensive line play too. You can only go but so far if if somebody's going to miss a block, and then you want to max protect sometimes, but there's going to be other times where you just got to open up the floodgates and say, all right, guys, if you're good enough one-on-one with these guys to block them, we can make like you say, we can.
Yeah, they're doing what they can. I think Coach and I, as offensive coordinator, has been a good fit. And, Jason Beck, as quarterback coach, has been a good fit too, coming over from Virginia where they had so much success together. It's just, to me, I don't think I've seen us go, the empty back 5 wide receivers, unless it's the end of the game and it's 3rd and long, we have to. But I don't feel like there's been enough of these, 2 guys on one side run a cross route, kind of block for each other, and then at the same time run a guy in motion. Even have Rondé come up the field and go out to the left. But if you know he's getting keyed in on, then why wouldn't you bunch him with somebody, have that thing split, and then if you know he's going to get double teamed, as he's coming down, you got Damian Alford's an inch taller than he is, so you put Alford with him, you put Pena with him, so you got a speedster guy that could come in and try and set up and block and do something for him and then go to the middle of the field. You got a Rondé that you're going to put out, and then Damian Alford, as he's running his route, can kind of do like a hesitation type of, like, maybe he's going, maybe he's not, so he can slow it down and almost create a block for a Rondé, because you got 6'5" and 6'6" together. That's going to be hard when they cross each other, and then, gosh forbid, you don't get it to a Rondé. Now Damian Alford can turn around like he does on these plays where Garrett does scramble out and see him and sit and wait for the ball, or like he has cut back to the ball.
Right.
I just feel like you have so many offensive weapons, yet you don't use them, and it makes people forget about Anthony Quealy, because we've seen him like 1 game, and then you wonder, like, is he injured because he's just never out there? But he was supposed to be one of the guys they were going to utilize.
Right.
And I don't really know that he's done anything last season that would make me not want to play him.
Yeah, he definitely is behind some players right now, as you can see. Like you said, Damian is probably one of the best blockers in the receiver group. Rondé's a Rondé, but who's the young man that got the shoulder separation? I can't think. I'm losing his name now. The receiver, 80. Jesus, separated his shoulder in the Purdue game, but he was starting to get a chance to run the ball, run the offense more than Queeley got an opportunity to run. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that.
Oh, is that Isaiah Jones?
Yeah, Isaiah. Yeah, he was getting more opportunities. And Thatcher now is getting a little bit of opportunity now that he went down. So, I don't know what the key is, but his first 2 years, Anthony Queeley was pretty, developing player coming along. And then now it's just like he can't get out the doghouse for some reason.
Yeah, and we look at the touchdowns. Aronde has a receiving. If we're just looking strictly at receivers and tight ends, Sean Tucker's got 2 at the running back position, but for receivers and tight ends, Aronde has 6 receiving touchdowns. Devon Cooper has 1. Another guy they don't use enough. Mm-hmm. And he's literally gone to Devon Cooper when a play breaks down, he tries to run out, he eludes a sack, and like 3 guys are open, and that one play where he stepped up and just threw it, and it was kind of like somebody catch it, and Devon was the closest one to it.
Right.
But Devon Cooper, he's caught a touchdown. Courtney Jackson has 1. Damian Alford has 1. Demarcus Adams has 2. One of them is from Carlos Del Rio Wilson. Isaiah Jones has 1, and Amari Hatcher. But I'm sitting here saying a bunch of these guys have 1 touchdown, but it's not because they're not capable. It's because they don't get thrown to that much. Mm-hmm. And then on their side, though, there are moments, and it happened with Carlos Del Rio Wilson and Garrett Schrader, that, the ball should get spread out. Yeah, they should give more opportunities. There's not a lot of film, and I think Syracuse could do some damage throwing these guys out here that at this point in the season, 8 games in, nobody thinks anyone's going to throw to them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when they do throw to them, the few times that they do, there's been a lot of drop balls.
Yeah.
And Amari Hatcher, like I said, the Carlos Del Rio Wilson pass, that pass might have been a half of an inch too far, but Amari got his fingertips on it. So, I mean, at least to reach out, and I think that would have been like a 60-yard game.
Easy.
Yeah.
But, and that just, when you just pull up the list of names, another name that came to me was Courtney Jackson. Last year, I would think he was more suited for the slot, and now he's on the outside. I don't really see him more of an outside guy because most of the time when he do get the ball on the outside, it's hard for him to get over the corner, and he's trapped along the sideline. It's not like he's a Damian Alford where he can probably out-jump the guy like he did in Clemson, pull the ball down and got his foot in bounds. But
Courtney's 5'11", Damian's 6'6".
I think Courtney's better in the slot, kind of like an Irv Phillips type player. He had a couple of games last year I can think of now where he hit the slot over the middle. They was able to hit him in stride, and he was kept, got a couple of yards here and there. But, I don't think they really have him in the best position for what he is,
Like, I honestly feel like Courtney Jackson and Devon Cooper could be very well-developed weapons at this point if they had enough play and balls thrown their way. Mm-hmm. And I think Trevor Pena could be a great inside guy, but I like Courtney inside as well. I feel like Courtney, and granted, Aronde Gadsden the second as a tight end, but really a receiver, but put it tight end. He's 6'5", perfect for that Biletnikoff Award. He's up for that too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, seeing that and what he's done, not to take anything away from him, I believe that Courtney Jackson, keyed in on utilizing an offense, could be a number 1 or number 2 guy. I honestly think before Aronde got going this year, I thought coming into this year, Courtney Jackson could develop as the number 1 threat, and I just feel like we're missing something.
Right. Yeah, it's either something in practice that we're not seeing, or and you know what? It's also, you kind of said it earlier. It's like we see certain plays where it be maybe 3rd and short, and not only Aronde go off the field, but the offense is so multiple. They bring in, it's like every other play, they always switching personnel.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get into a groove, even if you are a receiver, to say, all right, I ran that route. All right, I'm back in the huddle. Like, what's the next play? It's like the next play, I'm on the sideline.
Yeah.
And then now you're waiting for somebody else to execute the play.
I wouldn't be doing that at all. I'd be like,
yeah.
I'd be doing the opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think a lot of people even taking it just a natural call of the offense. They're like, all right, you in, you out.
But you can't get a rhythm. That's
exactly.
That's what Mo was always about. He was a rhythm back,
right?
But they wouldn't let him get into a rhythm.
Right. And some people probably just need that, And then, like you say, it's like when they do bring in people, other people are like decoys for what they really want to do.
Yeah, it's like everybody's a decoy for a ronde, but if you don't throw to any of them, then there is no decoy.
Well, yeah.
Then these guys are just running routes for no reason, and the reality of it all is these guys have been, on the field, kept their emotions in, running these routes knowing that they're not, I mean, I shouldn't say knowing that they're not, but running these routes and not getting the ball, because how many times you want to run a deep route downfield, full sprint, 30, 40 yards, and then have to jog back, not get the ball, not get the ball. And we saw with Taj Harris, he was vocal that if he ran a route and then nobody even looked at him, he lost his mind. Last year, he took his helmet off and screamed. And there was the COVID year where there's nobody in the stands, so we could hear him. I could hear him in the press box clear as day.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could. I mean, I didn't get a chance to experience that one, but we know kind of emotional guy he was. But yeah, I mean, it probably is frustrating for receivers to go out there but you know what, you got to just do your part of the offense, and hopefully the ball will find you. But that's. To me, that might be some of the reason why we don't see certain players getting to those rhythms, because they're not always constantly there. It's always an adjustment. Somebody else is coming in to do something, and then you don't see them. You don't see them again. You know what I'm saying?
It's like 8 games into the season, though.
Right.
These guys can only be, at this point, Aronde's your decoy. They're not your decoy.
Right.
Aronde's your decoy.
Yeah.
Sean Tucker's your decoy. Because I don't care how bad your defense is, if you know Syracuse is going to run up the gut most of the time and not to the outside with Sean, and they're going to go most of the time to Aronde, even a bad defense in Division I AFBS can key in on 2 players.
Right. And if you got a bad quarterback that can't run, or not a bad quarterback, but not a healthy quarterback that's not running. Yeah, exactly.
Like Aronde got a perfect ball from Garrett Schrader where he catches in the end zone on the 13-yard touchdown pass after Garrett threw the interception for a touchdown that you had talked about against Notre Dame on the first play of the game. When he threw that touchdown pass to Aronde, his receiver or his DB was right on him. And as soon as Aronde caught that, the guy grabbed his arms. Like, he was right there. That was a great ball from Garrett Schrader. But if that's what they're going to do and they're going to be on him like that all the time, yeah, he caught that pass and that was a perfect ball. But how many times are you going to have a guy ready to squeeze your arm and get that pass in there? Because when he tried to do it on the first play of the game, he threw it, and I can't stand these passes. Throwing it at the line, like throwing it right at the line, right by it, or trying to get a little bit over it. I mean, one of your guys could hit it with their helmet or their hand by accident.
Oh, yeah.
It's you got a 5 to 8 yard dart that you're throwing a straight line into traffic in the busiest part of the field. If the guy didn't catch that interception, somebody would have hit it and it would have popped into the air.
Yeah, it was, and we probably seen that later in the game too. But yeah, it was one of those plays. I don't know. I think it was scripted and he just telegraphed it, like you said. I mean, and I saw Trevor Pena. You just keep talking about it. It was wide open on the outside. So
you just said, why didn't he look for Trevor on the outside?
Yeah, he was on the boundary, wide open. But yeah, I'm with you too. Some of those plays you got to be very careful. You can't just assume this is practice. Everybody they're not going to sit there and let you do what you do in practice. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not hard for a Division I coach to say, all right, 19 is our guy, 34 is our guy, and let's watch him. So yeah.
And in all honesty, if Wake Forest, who's a great, Dave Clawson is fantastic at having Dino's number, and that game's still coming up, I could see Dave Clawson going, grab 19 and 30, not grab them, but watch 19, watch 34, and I bet you that if they do those things, probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
And you can't be that small in your offense. I mean, we saw when Taj was at Syracuse and DeVito was there, I said, if he passed to Taj Harris, I could close my eyes and go, deep route on the sideline.
Yeah.
Because that's all it was. They would send him out, nobody else. They maybe have one other receiver on the other side, and the play would literally just look like a J. You'd have a wide receiver out here that would maybe go out 10 yards. You got Taj jetting down the field. You got your running back staying in space, and nobody in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's basic, simple stuff. It wasn't hard to guard either.
No.
And you add the sideline as a third defender, too. That's why some of those plays and some of those passes I don't really care for. Maybe like on a 2nd and 1. yeah, let's go deep, and then hopefully if we can't pick up 1 yard on the 3rd and 1, then we don't deserve to be on the field. But sometimes we see those plays like on a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7 where we just need an intermediate route to get the first down, and they throwing a bomb, and I was like, come on.
I don't feel like we have intermediate routes.
Maybe we don't.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's
Aronde does a good job at finding holes in zones and stuff, but other than that,
is it actually in the playbook that we have like an 8-yard route?
Yeah, I don't know.
A 6-yard route.
I think beginning of the year, I think it was Courtney. You ran like a
Well, I was going to say, it would have been Courtney or Trevor.
Yeah,
that would be the guys.
Right. And have I seen that play since?
No.
No. And I think it's more, if the defense is going to give you that, you take what you get. You know what I'm saying? And that's what those guys like that, Trevor and Courtney, if they're playing against DBs and they're playing off on them, you just take what they give them. And you don't have to have the home run play with them all the time. I mean, we've seen that in the first few years of Dino and his style of offense. It was like the wide receiver out pass was almost like a 5-yard run if they was going to run it.
Yeah.
So that's all you got to do, pitch it out to those guys and give them opportunity and hopefully in space to maybe make somebody. Kataj was good at that. You give him the ball quick and he can make 1 or 2 people miss and keep, gaining yards. Even for the size, he was kind of remarkable at doing that for his size too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Sean Tucker when we talk about this is, get him the ball in space, pitch it out to him, make sure you get him to the outside, have that RPO, and are you going to pull it or are you going to give it to him?
Mm-hmm.
Give him the opportunity to get to the outside, get him around the line, because you think about this. Well, Clemson's guys are big, Notre Dame's guys are big. Well, how do you go against that? You get Sean to the outside, because if you get him to the outside and you give him a person of space, that he has proven that he can beat somebody that's given him 1 or 2 steps of space. He could beat you in the open field. So why not start him in the open field and give him the opportunity to get out there? Dino said he got asked a question after the game, and Dino, and I respect Dino very much so, and I scratched my head a little bit at the 5 carries, because last year Sean Tucker got hit. My mom goes, he's going to get hurt, hitting the helmet, hitting it over and over again, and they just ran him. They would run him 20 times a game, 25 times a game, 30 times a game. In the game against Clemson, we sat here and said, was he hurt? He ran 5 carries, 54 yards, 10.8 yards a carry. The only thing that works in such a big way against Clemson. And then against Notre Dame, 16 for 60, 3.8 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground, 4 catches, 32 yards. And somebody said, you ran him more. And Dino smiled and he goes, oh, you like that, don't you? You like that play call, don't you? And it's like, well, yeah, because that's your Heisman hopeful guy,
right,
that should be running the ball 20 times a game. So 16 is still less, but it's not as bad as 5. And I would only expect Sean Tucker to run the ball 5 times in a game where he went out after the first half and had to nurse an ankle injury or was questionable to return. That's a 5-carry game. If he's a healthy player, we look at this season, 21 carries against Louisville, 27 at UConn, 18 against Purdue, 21 against Virginia, 23 against Wagner, 14 against NC State, then 5 at Clemson, and 16 against Notre Dame. So most of the games are at least 20, and in the ones that aren't 20, they're almost 20. So why he was not there averaging 10.8 yards a carry against Clemson is beyond me, and it's beyond most people. And when Dino kind of got asked about that, he just kind of laughed it off like, oh, well, we had more today, so I'm happy you liked it. Right. And it's like, no, Dino, everybody likes that.
Right,
Sean likes that,
Right.
So to me, what were they seeing in that?
Well, to me, it's 2 things. It was, 1, Clemson was doing most of the running in that game. Because when they had the ball, they were just wearing the defense down. After they pulled out. The DJ went out of the game. That's all they really did was run the ball. 2, when we should have been running the ball when we had the lead, we were getting either penalties, pushed back. We couldn't afford to run the ball. Yeah. And then we was going 3 and out, or maybe a first down and then another 3 and out, or the case may be. But if the offense can't avoid penalties and stay on the field, then that's just eliminating those number of touches that Sean could get, and keep the clock rolling. But we just never got into a rhythm. And when he did get runs, it was like a holding. or you got a decent run on the first down, then it was like a false start. Now you're back to second and long again. So the offense was kind of shooting themselves in the foot in that game. And then, like you said, then they go back and look at the stat sheet and be like, oh, man, he only had the ball for 5 carries. But, again, Will Shipley and the other running back for Clemson was doing most of the running and just wearing our defense down when we should have been doing that to them after we had, a 21-10 lead going into the fourth quarter, that was our wrestle. But, I mean, normally when a team coached by Dino, so far I told you, they could tell me that Orange is a new fast model all they want when you go into the fourth quarter and Dino has a lead that I've watched, it's time to pull on the brakes and we're going to run the ball and run out the clock. And for some reason, maybe it was the new coaching staff. I don't know. We didn't get the memo and we didn't run the ball like we should have. And again, Clemson took advantage of that. So, but yeah, it's no excuse for Sean. Like you said, you just went down the law for when he get his touches. Most of the time, he's going to get his 100 yards, and we're going to even be ahead and we're going to win the game and close it out. So, this Pitt game definitely going to have to be that. We can't let them grind out the clock and then try to wear our defense down. We got to get ahead. And like I was telling you, when we score, we put the pressure on the other team now. They can't play that style of offense.
That's why Dino likes getting the ball first.
Right. Yeah. We put up the points first. They're consistently putting up the points. And when we do that, we dictating the tempo. Just like Louisville was the perfect example, first game of the year. We know what Louisville wanted to do, but they couldn't get to it because we kept putting up the points. And the defense was doing the incredible job they've been doing all year, getting the ball back to the offense. And we've been doing and putting up the points. So, yeah.
7 rushing touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry, 758 yards on 145 attempts, and he is in less than 3 full seasons the 5th highest running back in Syracuse football history in career yardage with 2,880 yards, passing James Mungro to become number 5 on the list with just a few to go. And the farthest one to get, which he'd have to come back next season for, is Joe Morris at 4,299.
Right. I wonder how far he is from the next person on the list.
Yeah. So I mean, we will do exactly that. We'll talk about where Sean Tucker is on the list. If we have to remind Dino to play him a little bit more. But we'll talk about all jokes aside, Dino, I appreciate you. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside of Tortora and Alford, a feature here on Wake Up Call, and we are obviously here in the Cafe Kubal studios, well lit with our autumn and cues. Not only does this smell perfect, and we need to light a fire under Syracuse in this next game here so they don't let these losses beat them twice, because I don't care what they say. I think they let Clemson linger into Notre Dame. Is that in autumn right now, it's actually hot, like this candle. 70 degrees all weekend long. And I just watched a football game between Baldwinsville and CNS for the rights to go to the championship game in the Dome for Section 3 Class AA. And I literally felt warm on the field.
It was, 65 degrees something on a November night.
Yeah, crazy.
You can't beat it. Yeah.
No, you can't beat it at all. We'll be back after this fast break. I'm excited to see and hear if Isaac does anything during this fast break. We'll be back right after this to talk about where Sean Tucker is in history, where this Pitt team is, and then we're going to go to college football. And you're going to be able to hear some of this. And probably a lot more of this. We'll talk about it right after this fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products. offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate
purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Tortora and Alford, inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in the Cafe Coupal Studios. So happy to be here. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street. This chair's like next man up. 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, inside of their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street, Manlius, New York, and on the corner Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-thru location. It's pumpkin spice time. Smells good. Smells a little bit like this. The Autumn Spice candle, or Autumn Q's candle, I should say, that is right here from Witty Wicks inside of our Cafe Coupal studio, supporting local all the way around. It was just Halloween, so I wanted to be generous. So I got some Halloween candy to share with you. I don't know if you like these. Well, yeah. We got to talk about you.
Sure. Give me my candy.
Beggars can't be choosers, man. So I got to ask you the question, though, and maybe some people are going to fight me on this. Do you like Whoppers?
No.
Yeah, that's right. It's crap. It's crap.
No.
It's horrible. So we got Kit Kats, we got Rolos. My mom always liked getting us Rolos, the caramel ones. What do you like?
Rolos are probably better.
All right, you Rolos? All right, you can.
I always loved watching that commercial with the Rolos and they like cracked open and then you saw the something.
When they like roll into like the tube too.
It was something like that. Yeah, it was just when you was a little kid, you see that commercial, you're like, man, I want to try that.
I'm so happy you don't like Whoppers, so I can throw it.
Yeah, you can throw that.
I'm sorry to the Whoppers company, but I don't know what you are. Aren't they like malt balls?
Is it like milk duds or something like mini milk duds? I don't know.
It's the original melted milk ball.
Okay, no.
That sounds just dirty and
exactly. I don't need
disgusting.
none of that.
Like, why do you want to be the original melted milk? I wouldn't want to be any melted milk ball. But if somebody gave me Whoppers, I'm like, can I trade? But what I loved is, as a kid growing up, when we went to do Halloween, like, almost nobody liked Baby Ruths.
Really?
And I remember sitting down with this one kid. He goes, I'll trade you all these Baby Ruths for one Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue bar, I threw up when I had it one time.
Right. Yeah, no.
So I go, this kid's an idiot. I gave him my Fifth Avenue. I took like 13 Baby Ruths.
Yeah. No, that was a good trade, definitely.
That was one of those positive trades. That was a DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson trade. So before the break, we're talking about Sean Tucker. And Sean Tucker currently right now has 2,880 yards, which put him a few yards ahead of James Mungro to go to top 5. He can crack the top 4 pretty easily.
Yeah.
We'll see what the Pitt defense does. But he only needs 55 yards to become the 4th career running back all time at Syracuse in rushing yards. Larry Zonka, 2,934. Sean Tucker, 2,880. 54 yards to tie, 55 yards to take the lead. Then he'd be behind DeLon Carter, who has 3,104, Walter Reyes with 3,424, and Joe Morris, 4,299. So it does, as I stated games ago, I said I was looking at the rest of the schedule, and at the time I said if he rushes for 70 yards a game for the rest of the season, he would crack the top 3. He still has a shot at the top 3 to get to 3,104, because in this game, if he can get 55 yards, he'd have 2,935, and then he would only need not even 200 yards to get in there. So I do think he can become a 3,000-yard back this season if they give him the ball. I would hope that he can get at least 55 yards to get in the top 4 against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What do you think by the end of the season? I was almost going to say he probably can get closer to. He's not that far off from Walter Ray's career. You taking by the end of the season,
less than 600 yards away.
Right.
He's got 4 games.
Right. Well, okay, then 4 games for 600. Yeah, he's going to be pushing it, but he definitely got opportunity to get in the top 3. And just seeing DeLon Carter there, man, that takes you back a few years, you know.
Yeah.
Another great running back.
Had DeLon on the show, had Walter on the show, had Joe Morris on the show. Haven't had Larry Zonka yet. Walter Reyes, 39, rest in peace. I remember where I was when I found out he passed away. I know the exact street I was on. I know where I was on the street. I know what was around me on the street. And I almost called him because I thought it was a joke.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that news just came out of nowhere too. I mean,
yeah,
I couldn't believe it either.
He was doing some good stuff in business, and I think he had gotten a new job. And I just, had no idea that it happened. I don't know if I had heard from his wife or if his wife had put something out or something like that. But it was like I know exactly where I was when I found out.
Right. Yeah, those are the type of situation that happened in your life. You always going to remember the exact time and place where you was at.
Like when Fred Reed passed, I was laying in bed, and the former DB coach at Syracuse was going into his 8th year at Eastern Michigan. Had only been at Eastern Michigan after leaving with Schaefer's staff before Dino came in. Great person. Had talked with him on Easter. And so whenever you wonder, should I send this message? Should I take this time? I'm with my family and this and that, but should I reach out to some friends before the end of the night just to say Happy Easter? And I decided to spend an hour from 10 to 11 p.m. sending out as many messages as I could to people I wanted to. And if I didn't send them that message, that was the last one.
Right.
I said Happy Easter. He said Happy Easter. And then I was laying in bed on Mother's Day in May, and I looked at my phone, and I think Syracuse had reposted it. And I was like, no. I got out of bed. I sat on the floor. I started crying. And then one of the most beautiful things I never expected happened. I was in my kitchen a little bit later, a few days after. I don't know if it was a week or so after. And his wife, who I had never met, his wife reached out to me. And she said, hey, Dan. And she said her name. And she's like, you may not know me, but I just want you to know I appreciate everything you did for Fred. And she said, I feel like he would want you to know this. And she took a picture of the running back, or she took a picture of the coach's meeting room, and they had put his picture on it and named the room after him. And so it was right by the double doors. And she was like, thank you for always being so good and treating him so well. And she's like, I know Fred would want you to see this. And so it's I didn't even know, but she knew how I treated him and took the time at 10 o'clock at night to say, he would want you to see this. I wanted to share this with you. Thank you for being good to my husband. And I'll never forget that. And honestly, not even meeting this person before and only on text message, the moment I get to see her, I'm going to throw my arms around her and give her the biggest hug in the world.
Right. I mean, some of these gentlemen are gone too soon. You say.
Yeah, he was, I think, 54.
Yeah, you just can't believe it, It's sad, tragic, That's just a tough one, tough pill to swallow. And, especially when you build a relationship with a lot of these guys. And like you say, what I've known for you, you treat everybody with respect, and they give you that same respect back, So, yeah, that is definitely sad news.
Well, you realize that, I love to network. I love to meet new people every day. And when you do that, in a good way, I say this in a good way, and I want people to understand this. You never want to see anybody pass away, especially the good ones, and we all will. And you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that, the more people you know and the relationships that I build that are purposeful, in the sense, and what I mean by that is it's not just transactional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just give me an interview or money or whatever. And so I have to wrap my head around the fact that I'm going to go to a lot of funerals, and I don't feel like I should be going to them now, but it's the reality of, like, if you're going to all these funerals, though, it's because you've had a lot of love. And so I look at it in a positive way, but you build these relationships over time. You have to realize, like, some friends are going to bury friends. And I always said, no matter when I go, and I hope I'm 100-something years old, and I hope I have my wits about me, and I hope my comedy, and I hope I'm still giving advice, and I'm still smiling, and I'm still walking, and mostly taking care of myself, and being able to do stuff, and not having my kids have to put my clothes on and stuff like that. Whatever it is, though, I know I'll be surrounded by love because God is great. And I hope that whenever I go, I would want everybody in that room to say the same thing. If they said one thing, I don't know how he did it, but he always had time for all of us. And here all of us are in his life, yet whenever we called, he answered. When we texted, he answered. He went out of his way. He flew to us. He drove to us. He was there for my daughter's birthday party. He was there for my son's graduation. I would hope that everybody would say, I don't know how he did it, but he made every single one of us in this room feel like we were the only person he knew. And that's the legacy that I want to leave. Right. Because I believe in life, everyone has time, and they're never too busy. It's just the people that care and the people that don't. Because you will always find time. Yeah,
if it's important to you, definitely find time to spend it with those that you love and care about. Because you never know when your time is up. You said, take all those precious moments, don't take it for granted, always tell people how you feel, and enjoy every last minute you can spend with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I almost got hit and almost and potentially right on my door at 55 miles an hour when I was going 2 miles an hour. And, that moment kind of just hit me, and my life didn't flash before my eyes. There was no black and white. It was just kind of that morning, for whatever reason, I said, I've gotten rid of a lot of negative stuff in my life. I've let go of a lot of drama. I've let go a lot of my past. I have to let go of these last remnants. I have to let go of the remaining pieces, because I really, if I'm going to be healthy, I need to be 100% healthy. And then that happened, and then I went, literally none of this stuff matters. And then now weeks later, I've let some stuff creep back in, and I keep going back to that moment saying, remember when that almost happened, Dan, and you finally let go of all that stuff and all that pain? Don't bring it back. Don't go backwards. Like, everything happens for a reason, and I think that was God's way of saying, like, these things that are bothering you, these last final, these little pieces, these remnants of these people and these situations, you have to let these go because they don't matter. And if it's the last thing you thought about right before you got hit, I mean, I remember the night before I ended up having to go to the doctor, and they had my heart checked, and they sent me to the hospital, and they thought I had had a heart attack, which thank God I didn't. That night before, I let somebody get under my skin who uses their power for control, and I was so angry, and at 10 o'clock at night, I was yelling about it on the phone, and then I literally said, what if I did have a heart attack, and I had to live with the fact that I let someone bother me to the point where I got stressed out, and this nothing person who has no respect and seeks control and is mean for no reason, how dare I let them put me in the hospital?
Yeah. You can put a lot of undue stress on yourself. Like you say, you get in a situation where somebody is just pushing your buttons, and like you said, stress and literally pushing your buttons. So, but no, you're right. Certain things in life don't really matter to you. You can only control what you can control, and just enjoy the loved ones around you.
Yeah, absolutely, and you being one of them.
Yeah,
appreciate you very much. Isaac said in this room, I said, "Welcome to the family," and what'd you say?
You got to welcome family when you're already family.
So with that being said, looking at this Syracuse family, they take on Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has this guy, Mr. Abanaconda. What do people say? But I think I've said both, but Abanaconda.
Look, there he goes running.
Yeah, it's like Abana, he gone. You can't say, he should say, you can't say my name faster than I am. So, Abanaconda through 8 games. 1,080. I don't even have to look anymore. I memorized it. 1,008 because I love it's incredible. 1,086 yards, 5.9 yards a carry. Go check the tape, folks. And 16 rushing touchdowns. And he has 4 more games to play and maybe a bowl game. And the team is 4-4. What? You know what I mean? And this team brought Tennessee to overtime after beating them last year. And I think Tennessee is the best team in the country right now. If they beat Georgia, there's no question. But, folks, Abanaconda has 4 more games to play. He's a 1,000-yard back. He's going to have 20 touchdowns rushing this season. And he's averaging almost 6 yards a carry.
Should be in the lead in the clubhouse for ACC Player of the Year. You know, so for me, nobody's so far put up the production he has, and he broke Tony Dorsett's single game record of 300-something yards against, I forgot who the team it was, but you know, he's been putting on the show this year. You know, that's if we got 34, then they got what is he? No, he's not 7. I think he's 20-something. But anyway, you just got to key on him. You know, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know,
I said it to you before we started the show. I said, how many people can tell me the name of Pittsburgh's quarterback? Because everybody tells you.
I think he's a transfer. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and because what do people say whenever they talk about Pittsburgh? They go, "Oh man, we miss Kenny Pickett."
Yeah.
You know, but you don't hear a lot about the new guy. And the team is 1-3 in the ACC, 4-4 overall. Speaking of Pittsburgh, Dino put something out there that I feel like Dino would probably wait for the media to do. And what he said after the Notre Dame game was, well, y'all know I've never won in Pittsburgh. And so, I mean, Pat Narduzzi, a fantastic coach. I said Pat Narduzzi would be more than happy with a 17-6 game.
Right.
And the one thing I know about Pitt, no matter who the coach has been for Syracuse or Pitt in recent history, if they play to the 60s and 70s, they'll be together. If they play 14-13, they'll be together. If it's a low-scoring defensive game, they're together. If it's a high-scoring game, they're together. These games typically, wherever they go, high or low, the one thing that stays consistent is they battle back and forth on a seesaw. Pittsburgh has been a perfect seesaw game for Syracuse in their history of this long-standing rivalry. Yet Pittsburgh's had Dino Babers' number. Pat Narduzzi has had it. I think this is Narduzzi's 7th year. And Narduzzi's and Dino's in his 7th year. So Narduzzi has definitely had Dino's number. Abanaconda, though, looking at him and what he's done, I was right about all my numbers. So I just checked for fun. I also knew he had an 80-yard run. And so Abanaconda here, he is number 2 is his number. And guess where Abanaconda's from? It's going to piss you off, Isaac.
No, he's a New York boy.
Yeah, he's a New York guy that Syracuse let out of the state. A Brooklyn, New York, 5'11", 215-pound junior running back, Abanaconda. And he statistically, just to let people know this really quick, if we take a look at Abanaconda, he has been at Pitt since the COVID year. Only had 26 carries in 2020, 95 yards and a rushing touchdown, 3.4 yards a carry. Last year, 123 carries, 651 yards, 5.3 yards a carry, 7 rushing touchdowns. I told you about this year. And receiving, folks, guess what? He does that too. He has over 100 yards receiving in both of the last 2 seasons, this season and last season. And he has a touchdown receiving in all 3 of his seasons.
Yeah, like you said, New York native. I think Syracuse had him in the Dome on a recruiting trip. I've seen a couple of old photos of him.
Well, if he stays, they'll have him in the Dome next year.
Yeah.
Wearing a Pitt jersey. Like a lot of Narduzzi, like Servassier Dennis.
But you know what? When you said that, and I don't know if you bring up the schedule, I was kind of looking for.
Oh, the schedule? You want the schedule?
Well, the schedule of the recent years is for me.
Yeah.
It feels like this is like the 3rd year in a row we went to Pitt. It's like the schedule of ACC is a little off.
That's like when Syracuse had the rotator, but we played Duke 3 times.
Right. Or Wake Forest has been up here 3 straight years. Or we've been to Louisville 3 straight years.
Or when they do that weird thing where like Wake played North Carolina. because they needed another game, but it didn't count as a conference game.
Yeah.
And that's so confusing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, if for Dino to say that, he's never won in Pitt, they're not doing us any favors of bringing Pitt back to the Dome. You know what I'm saying? Because I can remember the last game, I think we beat Pitt in the Dome, and that was a few years ago. So it just feels strange, like you said, hear you say that stat, and I was like, man, when was the last time we had Pitt here?
Yeah, Pitt has 42 wins in the head-to-head against Syracuse, 31 wins for Syracuse, and 3 ties. So Pitt leads the series 42, 31, and 3. The largest margin of victory was 38-0 for Pitt in 1975. Their longest winning streak against Syracuse was 11 games, 1973-83. Syracuse's largest margin of victory was 55-7, and Syracuse's longest winning streak was also 11 games from 1991 to 2001. So looking at that, 2001 is when it ended, and guess who was still the coach then? Coach P. Just to throw that out at your face, everybody out here. But yeah, so pretty crazy to see some of these numbers that have gone on here, and how this series is kind of shook out at this time. But yeah, the Panthers do hold the lead, and it does help the fact that Pat Narduzzi has beaten Dino Babers every single time. So that's obviously led to this streak expanding. And, and they've been able to do what they need to do at home against Syracuse, like you were talking about, and on the road. I mean, Pitt's just been really strong against Syracuse in recent history, and that's the tough thing to have to take in here. But that's reality for Syracuse, and it's reality for these games that we've seen. If we want to go back and look at history here, we can go back to Dino came in 2016. So looking at that, that was the 76-61 basketball game. I called it a basketball game, and then ironically, Jamie Dixon and Jim Boeheim's basketball teams did not outscore the football team that season.
Right.
76-61 win for Pitt at Pitt. Then in Syracuse, Pitt lost 27-24 in 2017 on October 7th, 2017, exactly 2 weeks before my birthday. And then in Pittsburgh, overtime, 44-37, they won in 2018. In 2019, they won in Syracuse 27-20. Pitt won at home in 2020, 21-10. And last year in Syracuse, 31-14. So Pitt has won, of the last 9 games, they've won 8 of them. Syracuse. So in the last 10 games, Syracuse is 2-8 against them, and Syracuse won in 2012, 14-13 in the Dome, and the other time they won, like I mentioned, in the Dome was 2017. So like Dino said, he's never won down there, and Syracuse has only won 2 of the last 10, and those 2 were at home in the Dome.
So they have been alternate. It just feels like we just always are at Pitt for some reason, and I don't know the reason why.
I feel like we're always at Louisville, but I know they.
Well, yeah, that's definitely was true. Yeah, with Louisville, but it just felt like maybe just because we haven't beaten them in a while that I think even Marlo mentioned, not even Marlo, Mikhail mentioned that he hasn't even beat Pitt yet since he's been on the roster. So he definitely wanted to get this win.
And they need to call this something because what do they call the backyard brawl? West Virginia and Pitt.
Right.
And when I asked the Pitt players, I asked one of the guys, like, how much research do you do? And he's like, oh, I know all about it. He's like, he went back and researched that, and it made me feel great that a Pitt player today, not having West Virginia in the same conference in the Big East, still considers this a rivalry, did his research, and knew the weight of the history. Because some guys know nothing about it, yeah. But, we don't call ours anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, we really don't. And we go way back Big East days and before that. So
yeah, we moved from the Big East. Syracuse and Pitt moved together to the ACC. So they were together in the Big East, together in the ACC. They haven't left each other's side. So it's like you carried a rival with you. And in the former rotator that they had, Syracuse in the Atlantic, Pitt in the Coastal, Pitt was Syracuse's all year, every year, permanent crossover with the Coastal, and then they had the one rotator with the other 6 schools, even though they played Duke like 112 times. But, I mean, you think about that. Pitt and Syracuse come in, you put them in separate divisions in the ACC, and you make them a permanent crossover for what? The rivalry.
Right.
And yet the rivalry has no like distinction of like that name, like the backyard brawl.
And it's something, even the rivalry with West Virginia seemed a little bit bigger. With Syracuse, you got the trophy that, with West Virginia. So that's, you would think, in the day of college football, you just see all these other different teams with their different trophies and the axes and all this stuff playing for
the shoe.
Yeah, we don't have anything in this series, so it's kind of weird we don't. But with the long history, you would think it would have been something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they should have something of some type of bronze trophy out there. Some type of really cool thing that they could pass back and forth. I mean, it does. If you look back in history, Syracuse and Pitt, I mean, it's geographical, it's historic, it's Big East, it's ACC, it's forming the Big East. So to me, and I mean, Jim Boeheim, Jamie Dixon, I mean, this is a normal occurrence, yet we don't put a name on it, and there's nothing to take home.
Maybe the Heinz OJ trophy. I don't know.
orange flavored ketchup.
Orange flavored ketchup.
That's a giant orange flavored ketchup Heinz bottle. Some nasty citrus ketchup. That's what we need to have. We need to have the citrus ketchup bowl.
There you
brawl.
go. There you go.
The citrus ketchup brawl.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Why not? And there'd be fans at the end of the game getting drunk, like just like drink, like getting a big old bottle of orange ketchup, squirting it in their mouth, eat it and putting it on their hot dogs and whatnot. I mean, put some flavor on it. I can't eat a hot dog unless it's got ketchup, mustard, sweet relish, and be in the bun. Like, I have to do everything in my power to make it not taste like a hot dog.
Really?
Yeah.
You just don't like the taste of hot dog?
Well, you can't. Like, if you.
But there's a basic to me. A lot of people are like, you don't put ketchup on a hot dog. That's basic to me from the South. I put ketchup and mustard as the base. And then anything from that, it's just extra. So.
If you make me cut up a hot dog and eat it dry, I genuinely have this feeling of sickness in my stomach. I can't. There's like a film on your throat. It just feels it tastes weird. There's something gross about it. Like, there's something about eating a hot dog by itself where you your body's just like, man, I'm never gonna forgive you for this. You got to drown it out.
I got a hot dog in the refrigerator that I want to eat.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm telling you, you better douse it in a lot of things. But I'll tell you, but what I do on the grill is I take hot dogs and coonies, and now I don't call them snappy grillers, and I don't call them conies. They're friggin' coonies. Call what is it? They're not spelled that way. I don't care. Trevor missed the boat. One Halloween, he was a ketchup bottle, and I was like, bro, why weren't you the Trevor Cooney?
Right.
You put Hoffman's on your chest, walk around in a bun. Ridiculous.
NIL would have been great for him,
Perfect. He would have had Hoffman's making a ton of money. But, yeah, what I do on the grill is I let them crisp and I let them get black and all on the outside, so then they don't even resemble what they're supposed to be. Then you throw them in, you break them, they whistle a little, they're hot, you throw all the stuff on, and it's good. So in order for me to eat them, I gotta make them not themselves.
Okay, very interesting, But yeah, I'm simple with it.
Eat a hot dog by
I
itself.
can grill them, boil them.
Eat a hot dog with nothing on it.
Microwave.
You'll think you're on death row.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'll think that I mean, it's one of those your wife or husband makes it, and you turn around and you go, I ain't never gonna forgive you for this. It's like when my ex-wife made me yogurt chicken.
Yeah.
It told that woman the best thing she put on it was the cheese, and she looked back at me like she was pissed, and she goes, there ain't no cheese on there. I said, well, then what the hell cubes am I eating on top of this chicken? And she's like, really, Dan, that's what you like? And I was like, you know what? When you saw yogurt chicken, there's ideas in life like tuna and peanut butter, yogurt chicken, I don't even know, jelly on steak. There's certain things you don't do. And she put yogurt on chicken, and she's like, well, I saw it on Pinterest, and I thought it was a good idea. And I said, well, they didn't tell you what they felt like after they ate it.
Exactly.
They just showed you a picture of this nasty and my favorite part didn't exist.
You're better than me. I couldn't do it.
Oh, I tried a couple pieces of that. I scarfed that cheese down. And I still don't know what it was.
Sure it was cheese.
There's this like jiggly white mass on there. It was like tofu on it. The chicken wasn't even cooked all the way through. And then she made it with a side of asparagus, so I couldn't even eat that because I don't really eat asparagus.
Oh,
I like broccoli.
She
So
was trying to do you in,
she
brother.
was trying to kill me. Someone was trying to kill me. She's like, and then you can't say anything because she didn't cook a lot, and I love to cook. And I think in a relationship you're equal. I wash the dishes. I'll mow the lawn. I'll take out the trash. Like, you don't have to ask me to do that stuff. Like, I just do it.
Right.
And I love to cook, but I don't want to marry someone who doesn't love to cook. So I want to like cook together. And that was the last time I trusted her cooking in the kitchen. I was like, you better make this kitchen smell like something else because this is not respectful of me.
Yeah, that definitely is not. That's a deadly combination.
Yeah. Yogurt chicken. Yogurt should never be an adjective to chicken.
Not even close.
To describe it. It was disgusting.
Sounds disgusting.
It was revolting. I honestly thought that day, I didn't even think, I was just like, you know what? I felt like it was her way to get out of cooking. You're like, look, this is what I'm going to make. I'm going to start making some weird stuff, you know?
Yes, yeah.
You know? It's like, Dan, did you ever have peanut butter? Did you ever have peanut butter scallops? You know what I mean? Like, you know, she's trying to kill me.
Hey, that's the Ray Barone way to get out of doing things.
Yeah.
Do it honestly, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
He said do it horribly and then you don't have to do it again.
Exactly. You know.
Take the trash out somehow, rip a hole, and then it's all over the couch. You know. But yeah, I mean, I can't. Yogurt chicken, and that story's come up so many times in the last 2 weeks to the point where, you know, I told people flat out I haven't eaten yogurt since. I ate the chicken.
Ruined for you. Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I'm not doing yogurt no more.
But Chick-fil-A brought you back with the chicken.
I had Chick-fil-A before we did the show today. I'm not even kidding. I didn't even need any of the sauces. I'm just sitting there eating the chicken while I'm driving. Just eating it like that, you know. Get a little piece of that chicken. Got the 12 count.
Oh.
Yeah.
You feeling good.
I was feeling really good. And I got fruit on the side. So
okay.
Got some fruit.
No
I love their little fruit cup. And I do like the mac and cheese, but their fruit cup, they had, I mean, I've had a couple of the fruit cups this week and Chick-fil-A ones. And the first one I had, oh my gosh, everything's sweet. Mandarins and that, like, these were both fine, but like the first one, because I hadn't had one in a while. And it was so refreshing.
Yeah, the fruit is one of those things, like you say, if you don't have them in a while, and
just
that brightness and pop of them, yeah.
And your body, when you don't put fruits and vegetables in your body, and you start to, your body hates you and makes you feel like you're not supposed to put them in because you've been putting in all that nasty yogurt chicken, and then if you're eating fruits and vegetables, and then you start putting in some weird stuff, your body's go, ew, I don't want this. So you train your body to kick out like my body kicks out a lot of bad stuff. But, like, when you transition back into fruits and vegetables, your body kind of has, like, this, like, what do I do? And then it's fine, but, like, oh, my gosh. I don't know what it is about the blueberries up here. They've been good for months. The strawberries have gotten hair and whiskers and started walking, becoming cats and stuff in like a day, 3 weeks. Raspberries have been all right. Blueberries have been fantastic. But I'm a fan of, I wake up in the morning, I'll have like a cinnamon toast crunch with blueberries and raisins.
Okay.
Throwing that on there.
Nice.
Giving some fruit in the morning.
Yeah. Fruit's always a go-to in the morning, yeah.
And I love grapes too. Do you ever have the cotton candy grapes? The ones that they like inject with this cotton candy smell and flavor? No. They look like green grapes, but they smell like cotton candy.
Where did you get these?
A lot of places picked them up. But they were at Wegmans.
Okay. No, I never had them.
Yeah, cotton candy grapes. Do you like seedless or seeded?
Seeds.
Do you like seeds in there?
Well, they said seeds are more natural.
Okay, all right. Green or the green grapes or the purple ones?
Green.
Green?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, it's different for me because I feel like sometimes the red ones are a lot sweeter. And then cherries, you got to get them dark. You got to get the dark cherries. The darker they are, what do they say?
The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Yeah,
I know you was going.
Yeah. So, like, if they're purple color, they're really, really good. And you can usually go down to the farmer's market and get a bag, like a paper bag, You know, back in the day before Cuomo made all bags paper, and like you get a paper bag, and you spend like I don't even know,
Plastic bag,
yeah, they'd be like $8, and you get this like pile of them, and then you go to like Wegmans, and they were so overpriced, $8 a pound. But if you went to the farmers market, oh my gosh. If you hit it on the right, if you got there early before everybody raided that place, those cherries, my dad and I would eat half of them before we even got to the car.
Yeah. Oh, I've had a coworker that used to bring them in the big plastic bags, and man,
you remember plastic bags?
Oh yeah, man.
Remember me sitting on the porch one day going, "You remember plastic bags?" You'd be like, "I think so," and I'd be like, "What?
I still bring them from the South."
Oh, I do too. I steal them. I go down to Florida and they're like, "You want a bag for that?" And I was like, and I say I want to say no because I think it's paper, right? And I'm like, and they're like, "Do you want a bag?" And I'm like, And then I hear it. I hear it. Shh. And then I was like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, I'll take a plastic bag." And then the girl looked at me and I had drinks and she goes, "You want me to wrap it in too?" I was like, "Don't talk dirty to me like that. Give me all the bag." Because what do you put in your bathroom tiny toilet, or not tiny toilet, the trash can, the little trash can. And then I had somebody tell me like, "Well, Dan, you can go to the store, to any store, and buy little mini trash bags." I was like, I'm not giving more money to these places. You go to the grocery store, you repurpose the plastic bags for your bathroom trash can and your bedroom trash can.
Yeah.
That's what they're for. You buy one set of bags for the one trash that you have in the kitchen. All the other bags are free. And what I started doing when they were like, before they changed it over, and then they started asking you go to Walmart, they're like, "How many bags you take?" I filled up I had 13 bags. I put 0. I'm not giving you any of this money back. No. Okay. And one lady, she goes, "You need a bag at Wegmans?" I go, "No." And I carried it all out, and I had it like this, and I had like pie crust. I had and I dropped the toilet paper, and it rolled, and she looked at me. I was like, "Watch your mouth." No, like I didn't want to let her know I was struggling.
Yeah. And some of those new bags I think they've gotten better.
$10 to buy a Wegmans bag.
Is it? Oh my goodness.
$10. You know how much it costs to somebody make that in China?
Yeah.
3 cents?
Exactly.
Maybe.
And some of the bags are the worst bags in the world.
Oh, Walmart's bags rip before you even leave.
Exactly. I was just getting ready to say.
They rip in the middle.
I forgot to bring my own bags. And
we got to bring our own bags. I got to shop. Why are people working anymore? I got to shop for myself. I got to
ring it up.
I got to ring my own stuff up. I got to tell them how many bags. I got to fill it in my own bags.
But no, the Walmarts are terrible. I had the mistake of not having a bag, and I was putting like orange juice or something, and by the time I put it in, the seams just like tearing it. Yeah. Who does this?
I don't think I've been to Walmart since COVID, where I've gone in and put everything in my car without hearing. Yeah. And then looking at it and go, you know what? They're messing up.
If I can only make it to the house.
And it's like, and I look in there and there's like a tissue box, toilet paper, and like shampoo. No reason for it to give up. It's not like I put 13 milks and an orange juice
or 4 or 5 canned goods items.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't even want to put a canned good item in there. I got a better chance of putting a canned good item, strapping it to the roof of my car, than putting it in a Walmart bag.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then Wegmans even gave up. Their bags used to have their ads on it with a giant shoppers club. Now they have blank bags. Everybody's just stopped spending money.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And then you look at them, and you use that paper bag, and you're like, man, they're messing up. And that paper bag will and then they're like, well, you could buy one of our repurposed bags for $9.99. You know who does it right, who doesn't charge you and doesn't ask questions? Target. Their bags are they have small ones with handles. They have the big ones. Their bags don't rip. You can use as many as you want, and they never check.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Nice.
Go to Target.
Yeah, I got myself some bags from that whole switch out of no plastic. I won't tell you how I got them, but I got my hands on some nice
I just go
quality bags.
I go over the border to Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, to the Syracuse players, if y'all can get some bags in Pittsburgh and then just give them to me when we see each other next, that'd be great. You don't have to say who it is, right? There's no NIL deal. And you can't get in trouble because you can't give stuff to the players, but no, they can give stuff to me.
Right.
Yeah. They can get me a gift.
There you go.
Give me some plastic bags. I should have said it. You know what? I should have hit Dino at the press conference and been like, yo, man.
It ain't over yet.
Well, give me some plastic bags. Don't mess around, man. Give me some plastic bags. I use plastic bags for everything. Change of clothes in the car. And then I start looking through, and the thing is, they're trying to prevent pollution. I said, pollution is not the problem of the plastic bag, it's the problem of lazy people. The same people that when you go to a garbage can, like right outside of a store, and you see trash next to the garbage can, that they walked all the way to the garbage can and didn't push it in, and they left it there. Or when they overfill it, nobody takes it out. And you look at this stuff and you say to yourself, like, why are people so dirty? Plastic bags were not the problem. People are the problem. Because now I have 572 paper bags, and they haven't, like, I used maybe 10 of them, and the rest of them sitting there, and I've shoved them into one of my cabinets, and there's so many, and I have nothing to use them for.
Wow, you sound like me in my heyday of plastic bags. I had this one little cabinet.
Oh yeah,
just jam packed.
And
guess what? Before I even knew that New York was going to get rid of the plastic, I was like, I'm gonna never use these things. Get rid of these, and I wish I had them now.
You would have had gold.
Oh, gold. I was on the land.
You know what backs the American dollar today? Plastic bags.
I would have been a millionaire.
So hard to find.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but I just been accumulating. And when I go to Pennsylvania, when I was dating that one girl down there, she would throw her bags out. I'm like, why are you throwing them out? And because she had all this money, so she bought reusable tins and threw them out. And she goes, I got money. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had it like that. She got a reusable tin, throws it out, and she goes, I got $8. And I was like, your reusable tin, you crazy woman? Like, what are you doing? I cooked my nachos in here.
Right.
I want to cook my nachos the second day. I go, where's the tin at? She's like, well, you got to go back to the store.
Yeah.
And so she's throwing out plastic bags. I'm like, what are you doing? So I slowly but surely took bags, went down to Florida, took bags at a Jacksonville game, Hooters, took bags, put them in there. I look now, I got a nice... I didn't realize how much of my supply is of bags, but I'll tell you, those paper bags are a waste of time because lazy people that have as many bags as I do would throw those on the side of the road on the highway just like a plastic bag.
Yeah, they do. They do.
People are the problem. Lazy people. That's all it comes down to.
You gotta be careful of your stash, too, you know.
I'm not telling anybody where it is. I'm not stupid. I'm going to bury it in the backyard with all my guns. I'm just kidding. Now people are going to go in my backyard where the guns at. So, but I mean, it's Hunger Games, people.
Yeah.
Plastic bags, guns, and eggs. I will never buy eggs again. $3.79. I joked with you that they were over $3. I went to the store. They're $3.79. When I worked at Wegmans, they were 69 cents.
Yeah.
I remember when gas was 99 cents. Isaac and I sound like we're like 102 years old. When
Not
we can
far
tell
from
you,
it.
There was no internet. There was no internet. Our cell phones stood straight up. They didn't do anything.
Phones?
They didn't text. Yeah.
I didn't have cell
I
phones.
had Tetris on it. It stood in my whole pocket. When the antenna came out, it came out my pocket.
You had a cell phone? I had to go put a quarter in a payphone.
My Walkman that still works with the batteries that are 20 years old. They made things better when we were younger. But Isaac and I didn't have internet, didn't have a computer in the house, didn't have the cell phone for a while, and the pagers were out like crazy. The BlackBerry was like the computer that you had with you at all times. And we had plastic bag. We're going to be sitting there one day going, you know what, son? You got it easy. Or no, you'd be like, you got it hard, son. Because back in the day, me and your Uncle Isaac, we had plastic bags. And now y'all have been messing up here in this crazy state of New York. So I tell people, whenever I go to a state that has a plastic bag, I look at the people, I take the bag, I go, wait, I can have this? And they're like, yeah. I go, I can take it home? And she's like, yeah. And I looked at her, I go, it's nice to be in a state where you're still free. That's what I tell them all the time. Celebrate your freedom. Go Pitt, you know.
They're coming for you next.
Yeah, they're coming for you. So, yeah. Well, because I'm convinced Joe Biden, and I don't care who you voted for, Joe Biden landed in Syracuse. Gas was $3.29 down the road from me. He was here for a few days. He left. It's $3.69. I feel like he drove around the neighborhood going, these prices are too low. They messing up here in upstate New York. Because from the time he landed to the time he took off, gas went up 40 cents. And I don't want to hear that it wasn't his fault. That man was driving around in his little limo car, checking.
The motorcade takes gas, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sure he didn't pay that much. I'm sure he walked in there. Some Secret Service guy went in there and he goes, gas is $1.99 for the next 7 minutes on pump 7.
Exactly.
And they're like, all right. Yeah, he didn't pay that much for that gas. But no, I was like, gas went up 40 cents. What's the only thing that changed? The president came. I said, it was like everybody was on vacation, and then Dad came home to check on the house. That's what happened. And so I'm waiting a couple weeks. Gas go back down when they think he's not watching anymore. We shall see. But he's from Pennsylvania, and their gas has been outrageously high for a year. At
More
least
than
more
that.
than a year.
More than that.
But like, I mean, I would go down and we would be for something, and gas would be $5.29 in the Poconos.
Anytime, whatever the gas was in New York, Pennsylvania was probably like $80 to $1 more. So yeah, Pennsylvania hadn't been done any favors in the last several years. You know, I thought New York was one of the highest. But no, Pennsylvania got New York beat.
And it gets you feeling some kind of way when Orlando and Syracuse have the same gas price. And Orlando is a mecca of amusement and people from all over the world. And Syracuse is not Disney and Universal Studios and all that stuff. And you're sitting here like, how the hell is gas the same price? And a lot of times, gas was 20 cents cheaper in certain parts of PA than it was in Syracuse. But I got a kick out of the fact that gas would be $3 in Syracuse, and it would be 20 to 30 cents cheaper in Orlando.
Yeah.
In a big city.
But even down south, I always said I gauge it when I travel. Usually gas is like maybe almost 50 cents cheaper in the south than it is up here.
Well, they always say supply and demand, and I'm like, really?
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Got less people.
Exactly, yeah.
5-lane highway on one side.
You got most of New Yorkers down in Florida.
That's why we're down there. We know gas is cheap.
Exactly.
But people will tell you if they go to like a chain like a Dunkin' Donuts, they'll tell you the coffee tastes different because the water's different in Florida. And the donuts will be different because the water's different because and if you've ever had Florida water, I feel sorry for you, really. Like if you didn't know that you're supposed to not drink Florida water never gets cold. It's lukewarm and it always smells like a remnant of sand.
Wow.
It doesn't taste good, it's never cold, and it always smells some kind of way. So you have to either filter it through your fridge or you have to have some type of Brita or something like that. Don't drink if you just go to Disney and you're like, oh, I'll drink it out of the faucet, you will never want to drink water again. People talk about Mexico. Florida's water is some kind of way, man. It's some kind of. It makes you angry when you're thirsty and you drink Florida water. If you pick it up, I know what it smells like. So you walk into a restaurant and you smell it. You know the difference between they're just using straight up tap, like they don't care, and
right.
like this is good water. So I'll go to a place and I don't want a soda, but I have to order one because I can't drink that water.
Right. Yeah. Every place has its issues, you know what I'm saying?
Which is a perfect lead into Pittsburgh in Syracuse. So you're because Pittsburgh is still free. So at Syracuse, we locked up. They won't let me out. Akon. Remember Akon?
Yeah.
Before he started grinding with that 16-year-old girl on stage. Remember that? You thought everybody would learn from R. Kelly. But R. Kelly was listening to that song, She's Only 16 Years Old. Leave her alone, they say. I forget who sang it, but my mom let me sing it my whole life. And then I became a grown man, and I'm singing that song in my house, and I'm going, this is about like a teacher with a kid. And then I'm listening to Come On Eileen and all this other stuff, and I'm going...
And this was when you were singing the song when you was a kid?
No, like growing up now, like Come On and I refuse to believe that Puff the Magic Dragon is about drugs. I can't. I can't. That one, I can't. It's like I can't go to Disney and see somebody take their thing, the hat off. I can't. I've never seen it. I've worked at Disney. I've never saw it. I can't see it. Traumatized me. But like, Come On Eileen, I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, come on. Pour some sugar on me. Like, let's just be real. The good songs we listened to as children, they were on the radio all the time, they were Lil Wayne songs. They were just sang by people that had a sweeter tone.
A better delivery.
Everybody's Lil Wayne.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was looking for some tang. And, and Luther Vandross, let me tell you something. Luther, bless him in heaven, Luther was nasty. Everybody knows Luther's hits, right? Dance with My Father, Always and Forever, House Is Not Home, all that stuff. Luther Vandross had a song with Queen Latifah called Hit It Again. And it's only about having sex multiple times a day. And I said, I never knew. He had one album where Luther must have just, I don't know, something happened and he was missing out. and he'd try and get.
That was skinny Luther.
He had a dirty album.
Luther lost weight and wanted to go for it.
I'm telling you, Luther got in that headspace that all of us men get into sometimes, where we're just like, it's been too long.
That's what I'm saying.
And hit it again. It was fantastic.
That was skinny Luther. Luther lost weight and was feeling good.
Yeah. And he's literally, I mean, he's saying in there, they're like, Dan, are you sure it's about sex? Because they're like, Luther is a harmless, nice, gentle man. And I was like, did you listen to the word? He goes, if the feeling's nice, why not do it twice? It is not against the law. And then and then at one part of the song, he goes like, if you don't like it, just do it. So he's telling this woman like, whether you want me to or not, let me get some. And then Queen Latifah comes on and she's like, you too busy? You have all the stuff you need to do. And she says, you need a car to meet you instead of telling me to hit it again. Like, you need to get out, do your thing. And Luther keeps... And you can tell that he was smiling on the track. Mm-hmm. So you can hear him smiling. He's like, if the feeling's nice, why not do it twice? Like I said, it's not against the law. Just do it. I slave all through the week, and I need my release. I'm going to work hard, so when I stop, I got to get a little satisfaction from you. Mm-hmm. Like...
Luther was a man.
You know? Yeah. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, Luther had those ballads that just made you feel the love. And I'm like, yeah. And then Luther...
Then he threw you the twice on you. And get you back to the hotel. You know, hey.
Luther was like, I hope you ain't sleeping tonight. You know? And I told people, I said, you wanna meet Luther? And one kid was like, he's like, Dan, I can't, he said, I can't see him the same after this. I'm like, well, you know, if you can't see him the same after this, it may just help to listen to it again. Hit it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, just you give it another shot. Like Luther said, if it doesn't happen right the first time, we can keep going.
Okay. Words to live by.
Yeah. So that brings me to, what does Syracuse need to do to not hit a wall again? Mm-hmm. And what do you think is their catalyst positive factor in this game? We pretty much said Pittsburgh's is to just run the ball down their throat. Mm-hmm. What is Syracuse? What do you see from them for Dino to get his first win in Pitt, for them to somehow keep this game from being a defensive, long series of drives by Pittsburgh?
Maybe the reverse the roles on Pitt. Try to sustain long drives if you can. You know, wear out that Pitt defense. You know, that's one of their strengths. You know, and give Carlos an opportunity to go out there and start a whole game and see if he can get in the rhythm and get this offense looking kind of like the first few weeks. And maybe Sean can get higher on the rushing list. You know, I think the defense is going to show. It's just a matter of how much of defense are we going to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes too much defense you see is not a good thing, you know. Those guys need to get in and get their business done and get back off the field, you know. But I think, you know, Syracuse, if they can make Pitt earn it, you know, I think that's just the defensive style that they play, bend, don't break. That I don't think you've really seen too many plays this year where teams gone over the top of Syracuse and scored on those quick, fast plays. You know, most of...
Well, that's one thing that's not working in the ACC anymore, mm-hmm. is you can't throw, like you said, down the field over the top of Syracuse and just watch somebody get beat, a DB get beat by 10, 5 yards, something like that.
Right.
I mean, you can't. When Syracuse came into the ACC, they're like, we're faster than you, we're better than you, we're going to throw in a single coverage, put you on an island, and you're not going to get this. Mm-hmm. Where you brought up a great point, you don't see teams throw on Syracuse and constantly challenge the DBs.
No.
Normally, they run the ball.
Right, yeah. And that's basically what they've been doing the last 3 or 4 games. And that's just what the defense, they know. They understand what they need to do, work on better tackling. You got to get people to the ground. And, you know, hey, if you can cause turnovers, hey, more the merrier. That just gets the ball back to the offense even faster. So I think, you know, if we could just keep it a close game, I think the offense, we can put some points on them. I'm not sure where Pitt defense is ranked in the ACC right now, but and stuff like that in the early beginning of the season. And everybody's banged up this time of the year, so we'll find out who's available on both sides of the ball. You know, we're going to have some guys stepping up, filling in for Garrett Williams.
Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah.
Who did a nice job and I believe he's the one that he batted down one of the balls in the Virginia game, I think. So Isaiah Giant, and I talked to him. By the way, Isaiah, you got an incredible family. A lot of support for when we did that one-on-one conversation, so I appreciate that. And shout out to Isaiah Johnson, number 20, cornerback, who will be starting this game against Pitt in place of Garrett Williams, and played when Garrett went out earlier on in the season. He's done himself a really nice job, and he's got a lot of support. Pitt, you asked where Pitt is. Pitt is one of the worst teams in the ACC. They are fourth from the bottom. So they're 11th overall in points per game that they allow. They allow 27.9 points per game. And looking at this, they have allowed Pitt has allowed 27 touchdowns this season, which is only behind 33 from North Carolina and 34 from Boston College. So Pitt allowing a lot of touchdowns here and allowing almost 30 points a game to a Syracuse team that scores over 30 points a game that had been allowing under 20, around 13 before these last couple games. But going up against Notre Dame, I think it was still that they were only allowing like 18 points a game, Syracuse.
Right.
And Syracuse is second. Yeah, because it still is. Syracuse is second in the ACC. So Pitt being 11th, Syracuse is second in points allowed, 18.4. Second only to a team they beat, NC State, to become bowl eligible, who's allowing 17.4. Syracuse has allowed 18 touchdowns. NC State has allowed 17. Those are the two lowest in the ACC. Virginia has also allowed, believe it or not, they've only allowed 18 touchdowns as well. However, they have not had themselves as good a season as Syracuse or NC State. So, and then Syracuse is in the top 5 in offense. Pitt is in the top 7. Pitt has 31 touchdowns. Syracuse has 32. Syracuse averaging 32.6 points per game. And Pitt has upped their... So even though they allow 27.9, they're scoring 30.5. So their games are coming really close. Whereas Syracuse, by the numbers, are outscoring their opponents by a couple scores.
Right. And then, the Wagner was the one-off where we kind of blew the doors off. Yeah. But, yeah, like you
and
say...
that helps your stats.
Yeah. But, same token, like you said, Pitt played a lot of close games, and, they're just where it is. And then Syracuse, now we're in this the 2-game drought where we just got to find a way to just get back on the winning side of things and, keep improving each week. And I think they got the ability to go into Pitt and maybe come out with a W. I don't think it's really that far-fetched. Now, I think I always like watching coming into the season. There was a couple of things in the ACC that I want to kind of keep an eye on. It was teams that was coming in with brand new quarterbacks, teams that was coming in with new coordinators.
Yeah.
And we've seen the Virginia. You got Tony Elliott taking over as a head coach. He got
all the new head coaches in the ACC
yeah.
were in the Coastal Division.
Yeah. And then, Pitt now losing, what is Pitt after Kenny Pickett? We kind of said that. So, I just want to see how well, they react to us. Because, again, we know what Pitt is to us historically.
Yeah.
And we played them. But now you don't have that dynamic of a seasoned quarterback, how well they're going to react now to your defense.
Yeah, and Pitt this season, a win in the backyard brawl against West Virginia, 38-31 at home. At home against Tennessee after beating Tennessee on the road last year. Tennessee won in Pitt, so they've traded off here. 34-27, though. They went to overtime with who I consider to be arguably the best team in the nation. They won at Western Michigan. They won at home against Rhode Island, and they've lost 3 of their last 4. They lost to Georgia Tech in a weird game. Pittsburgh was at home, and they lost 26-21 right after the head coach and the AD were fired at Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech found a way to win. They defeated Virginia Tech 45-29 at home and spent the last 2 games on the road, losing at Louisville, who's gotten better as times pass this year in the ACC and in general. They lost 24-10, Pitt did, to Louisville, and then they lost 42-24 to North Carolina. Ironically, Syracuse losing 41-24 last week, Pitt losing 42-24. And so Syracuse has dropped their last 2. Pitt's dropped their last 2. Their margin of loss in their last game was almost exactly the same, and it was a point off. But Pitt has had more of a stumble here after starting out of the gate winning 3 of their first 4. They've lost 3 of their last 4. So this is where they stand right now with a record of 4-4. They do have a favorable schedule at Virginia and at Miami, albeit on the road, 2 struggling teams. And Duke can score a lot of points, so we'll see. What do you have happening in this game? Is it Syracuse or is it Duke? Or is it Pittsburgh? Syracuse or Pitt?
No, I don't think it's going to be Syracuse in this game. And you know what? Pitt really probably, like you said, coming in here, 4-4?
Yeah.
They really probably need it more than Syracuse, so it's going to be a dogfight. Because, like you said, the schedule is kind of favorable, but they can't really slip up because that Duke team is very nice. It's going to be a tough game for them. And then, you got Miami, but Miami is Miami. So, again, playing in Miami with a new quarterback, you never know what you're going to get with somebody on the road like that. So, they don't have a margin for error if they're going to try to get the 6 wins. So, but I really think it's going to be Syracuse. They're going to hopefully be a little bit smarter this week, not pushing Schrader when they don't have to, and maybe give the backup.
You have Sean Tucker. You have Carlos Del Rio Wilson that they're not going to be as prepared for. He can run. He can throw the ball. He spreads the ball out. He's got a nice ball downfield. I think if Schrader's not 100%, which something tells me he's not, I believe that Carlos Del Rio Wilson and Sean Tucker is actually a better recipe to pull off a win at Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
in my opinion, right now.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely right now. Like you said, Garrett's not 100%, or you don't even have to be 100%. Just whatever he is right now.
I feel like it's a better look. I
really
do.
Yeah. So, you know what? They got to come in to mind being physical, because I think I don't know if it was Dino or maybe the players I was listening to saying that when you play Pitt, it's going to be a lot of holding. DB's going to be on you. You got to fight through all that kind of stuff, and they know what they're going against. So they just got to be prepared, mentally focused on that, stay sharp, and I think, like I said, I believe they can come out with a win.
You have a score?
31-20, Syracuse.
Okay. So Isaac's going 31-20 Syracuse over Pitt. Pitt has scored, whether they've won or lost, they've scored at least 20 points in 7 out of their 8 games. Looking at Syracuse averaging a little over 30 points a game, we know Syracuse could score the ball. And in their loss to Notre Dame, they still got 24 points. And in their loss before that to Clemson, Syracuse was able to get to 20 as well. So, I mean, we look at what Syracuse has done. If Pitt's had at least 20 points in 7 of their 8 games in Syracuse's schedule, taking a look at their games up to this point, Syracuse was able to get at least 20 points in all of their games. 31, 48, 32, 22, 59, 24, 21, 24. So both of these teams can get in the 20s, which makes me believe that this game is going to be 28-24, but I'm going with Pitt. Because I feel that now the 28-24 score to me favors Syracuse more, but I'm going to go with Pitt in this one because I just feel like Pittsburgh with Abanikanda is going to be able to stop. They're going to be able to sustain their runs, create opportunities for their team, and I don't think their quarterback's going to have to do a whole lot of much. I do think at the end of the day, it's at Pitt. It's Pat Narduzzi. This team pushed Tennessee, who, like I said, I think is arguably the best team in the country right now. And not only did they do all of that, but you got a running back. You're set up that Pitt every single year, these guys leave. And then Abanikanda, who's not a household name, now all of a sudden is this guy who's got over 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5.9 yards a carry on just 183 carries, and he's got plenty of time to boost up those numbers. So I feel like if Pitt's known for hard defense, if they're known for being tough at home, and they're known for running the ball, this is a perfect setup for them with a Syracuse team that's not 100%. And I think that Pitt will take advantage of it, and I think they'll come out with the victory in this one, get themselves to 5-4. And Pitt, looking at their quarterback situation, Caden Slovis. He has 1,561 yards. He's only 58.2% on his completion percentage, only 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and he's been sacked 13 times. So they're going to run the ball, I would imagine.
Yeah, they definitely going to run the ball.
They might try to get some over the top after Syracuse gets used to the rhythm.
Right.
I'm sure Narduzzi might throw 2 or 3 of those bombs.
Yeah, definitely. You run a little bit of play action on it. But one thing look at the difference between Pitt and Notre Dame is, Pitt probably got a decent offensive line, just like Notre Dame had, but Notre Dame was more that 3-headed monster. I think Pitt maybe more of a two-player.
Yeah.
I think Davis is the other kid that runs the ball for Pitt. But if they could,
Vincent Davis.
Yeah, if they can slow down both of those backs, kind of keep that rotation down, I think they definitely can hold it on. But if Abanikanda can hold if the Syracuse defense can't put enough hits on them to kind of slow them down, then it's going to be a long day. But you know what? I don't know if he's going to get 30-something kids. That's why I say Syracuse got to take the score and put it up in. If for Syracuse to win, I think they got the score in the 30s. That just put the pressure on Pitt to get them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you like you said, if it was a game less than 30, then it probably would lean towards more to Pitt. But I just see Syracuse, because Syracuse defense, like I said, they don't really give up too much.
Yeah.
But
the longer you're on the field, it doesn't matter how good you are.
Other than, maybe special teams or something that maybe give them a short field where, they ain't going to they can't defend all the time. But
you see Shipley run on them. You see the 3-headed backs at Notre Dame run on them. They ran up the gut, something Syracuse struggles to do. Abanikanda has got to be salivating, and Pat Narduzzi's got to be watching this Notre Dame game and the Clemson game going, well, dang it, like they played right into our hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got Syracuse winning I got Pitt winning in the 20s. Isaac has Syracuse getting into the 30s and winning the game. We'll see what happens from this. Vincent Davis, Rodney Hammond Jr., Israel Abanikanda, and Daniel Carter all have at least one rushing touchdown this season. The team has 21. 16 of those have come from Abanikanda. And to take one quick look here at the nation's top 25 in the first college football playoff ranking of the 2022-23 season is what we're going to do right after this fast break before we round out the show in the wee hours. It is late night talk on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which means that my dirtiness is more approved at nighttime. Or if it's Comedy Central, you could play swearing movies at 3 p.m. And if it's Lifetime, you could play the scariest movies of your life, then have it cut to black, and 99.9% of the time, after you watch that horrible story about that human and everything they did, 99.9% of the time, they ask you if you know how to find them, because they made the movie about them, but for some odd reason, Lifetime can't catch a criminal. So we'll take a step aside, and we'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicoli's.com. That's myaviccollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York. Coming to you, fall 2022. And a welcome back here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a special feature, Tortora and Alford in the wee hours of the night. The show just kind of flew by.
Yeah, it did.
You know, we started it, and then I'm looking at this going like, man, we had a 1 o'clock, so we did a Friday-Saturday show. And so for those of you live, those of you listening back, we appreciate you. We went to a lot of different places, and Isaac was able to steer me away from a couple places. So thank you, Isaac, for doing that. It's still in my head, but I won't say it. So I'll say it off the air. I do like the fact that during the commercial break, Isaac fought with his chair, and the chair won. You just hear this bang. And you're like, son of a...
Yeah, exactly. I hope you don't mess up the wall, but yeah.
I was getting angry over here. I couldn't stop laughing. I'm sorry. Sometimes I feel like we just need to sit back in the chairs, have cigars in the studio, and just talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get to have our moments with cigars.
Yeah.
You know, Syracuse keeps doing what they're doing, you know.
Yeah, so
we'll light up a couple of cigars later.
I hope so. Well, I got a fresh light right here thanks to Witty Wicks. So we got ourselves covered. Let's take a look really quick at the country here. The college football playoff has put out their first rankings, and dare I say it, I agree with a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And I think they got it right last year, and this year they're the only ones. The AP hasn't done it all year, and the coaches poll hasn't done it all year, which has put Tennessee first. The AP thinks that Tennessee is second, and the coaches poll thinks that they're third. Somebody's smoking something down there. But in the college football playoff, they put Tennessee 1, and something that hasn't been done in a while here for the AP and the coaches poll, they put Clemson inside of the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. So if the college football playoff happened today, it would be going to, and let me make sure we get a good one here. So if we had Tennessee would be 1. We would have Georgia 3, Clemson 4, Ohio State number 2. Some whack business right there. Georgia going to give them the business.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something. If you're Ohio State and you have to go out there and play Georgia or Tennessee, man, I'm sorry. And then again, it's not a witch hunt against the Big Ten. It's not a witch hunt against Ohio State. I would say this about any conference and any team that has an unfair advantage in the polls for reasons that are not because of how they played the game. Mm-hmm. Ohio State, to me, is not in the top 4, and they are not number 2. They might be number 4, But you got Alabama squeaking, and you got a team that gets no respect. TCU is 7th in the college football playoff at 8-0. Oregon, so the college football playoff is in 1 through 10. Tennessee, I agree. Ohio State, no. Georgia, Clemson, I like Clemson's in the top 4. Michigan at 5, I don't agree with that either. Alabama, and everybody's, oh, I can't wait to see Ohio State play Michigan. I can't wait to see Ohio State and Michigan play somebody ranked that's not them. Alabama is 6th, that'll change. TCU is 7, Oregon is 8, USC 7-1 in the first season with their new head coach who jumped over from Oklahoma. So that's a good thing to see there, and what's been happening at this point for an immediate TCU shift under new head coach on Lincoln Riley's watch. LSU went from not even in the top 25 to number 10. Keep in mind, folks, they're leading the SEC West, and they're over Alabama, and they'll stay that way if they keep winning, even though they have 2 losses. They're 6-2 this season, same record as Syracuse. Ole Miss is number 11. UCLA, Kansas State, Utah, Penn State at 15. I somewhat agree with putting them there toward the bottom of the 15. Illinois and Tommy DeVito, 7-1 or 16. And then North Carolina, Oklahoma State, Tulane is 19 above Syracuse. Syracuse is in the top 20, which is beautiful in the college football playoff. Only one other time Syracuse was ranked in the college football playoff was when they went 10-3 in Dungy's last year and won the bowl game, the Camping World Bowl in Camping World Stadium, which is now called the Cheez-It Bowl. Wake Forest is 21, right behind Syracuse. NC State in the proper place where they're not in the other polls. NC State is above Syracuse, even though Syracuse beat them head-to-head and they have the same record. And NC State didn't go and beat Georgia or any of those teams to have a higher record. So NC State, that's right to me, that Syracuse is above them. Then Oregon State, Texas, and TCU squeaks in by bumping off Cincinnati. They're number 25 in the coaches poll, the AP poll, and the college football playoff. Disagree, agree, what do you got, Isaac?
No, I pretty much agree with what the how it came out in the playoff ranking. Yeah. This weekend definitely going to be very good because now you got Tennessee, Georgia going against each other, and then now you got Alabama and LSU. You're talking about LSU being the lead in the western side of the SEC. So the next weekend, the end of what? Sunday night, when does the new rankings come out? Sunday afternoon or whatever?
Yeah, Sunday, like right around when football kicks off round 1. Okay. Somewhere around kickoff on Sunday.
So we definitely going to see a shakeup on this. Where does how far the winner of Tennessee, Georgia, where does that go? How the loser, how far they go down?
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure Michigan is going to sneak somewhere up in there. Yeah, exactly. And then again, through later in the season, we'll probably see that the winner of that probably stick around for the playoffs. Yep, drop the bomb on them. So no, I agree with everything. TCU should get. Remember the days of the ACC? Yeah. They was just like, oh man, Clemson doesn't have anybody. They're playing in the ACC and this and that.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, with the Big Ten was only really Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
But
and they're ranked high without having to play anybody.
Exactly.
And when they play each other, everyone's going to say, oh my God, it's a top 4 matchup. It's a top 4 matchup by ranking, but it shouldn't be a top 4 matchup. It should be like a 10 playing a 13 or something like that.
Exactly.
It's not. I mean, come on. Clemson's got to beat Wake Forest. They got to beat NC State. They got to, go and play Notre Dame, who's, not who's, I'm going to give them credit, is better than I thought they were this year and getting better. But, I mean, Ohio State's not playing USC. They're not playing Oregon this year. They're not playing LSU. They're not playing Georgia. They're not playing Alabama. They're not playing Tennessee. So, I mean, you got Pittsburgh going overtime with Tennessee at home. You got Pittsburgh beating them in Tennessee last year. And you got Ohio State playing 5 home games to start the season, 8 home games of the 12 that they have. And they're not playing any ranked teams except for Penn State was ranked too high. And they gave them a quality loss, like I said they would, dropping them from 10 to 13. I said they'd only drop a few spots. And this BS that Michigan and Ohio State is setting up to be a top 4, that was set up to be a setup before the games were played.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And the loser is going to just eliminate the winner's going to eliminate the other person out of the conversation.
Why do you think they're both in the top 4?
Exactly. Keep people interested, watching, money flowing,
Yeah.
But yeah, TCU, I say even the Big 12 is a little different now that you have, Texas, Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma, I mean, they ain't really Oklahoma no more, but you got Baylor,
yeah,
TCU, all those good teams now in those leagues that make it more competitive than what you see with the Big 10 from top to bottom.
Yeah, no. So I mean, this is definitely. Yeah, now he's kicking the chair and stuff.
I won that one. Don't you worry about it.
But get off me. But it's kind of like what that Notre Dame tight end did to Syracuse. He put his left arm straight down, and he didn't even hit him halfway as hard. He put his arm straight down. Guy fell on the ground. He's like, "Don't touch me." It's like when I'm at the bar and a girl comes out. He's like, "What are you doing?" You know what happens? God's always looking out. Because on my worst day where I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm all about love, but whatever. If everybody wants to be like this, then what if I was like And anytime there's a drunk girl in the bar that would make out with anybody, they never talk to me. There was one girl, she was like, oh my God. She was doing songs, trying to come up with songs. And I was with this one guy and that I've known him forever. And she started flirting with him. I wasn't even in the booth to her.
Right.
God makes me an invisible ghost to drunk women. When they're like, I just want to...
Well, when you're sober and they're drunk, it's a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have on your drunk goggles. Just put it down.
Yeah. Let me just put it to you like this. Even when I'm like, you know what, man, this world is crazy, and you think like maybe you should be like the world, and God goes, no, because that girl, she'll go up to every guy in the bar, what do you want, a smooch? And she'll never talk to me. She'll come up to me and be like, can you get out of my way? I need water. Sorry, ma'am.
She detects you don't have your beer goggles on.
Yeah, she knows I'm not living that life. So, and I don't know what it is, but apparently got some goggles on for Ohio State and Michigan. I don't like it. Oh, Penn State. But you know what? The college football playoff rankers, they got stuff right. They moved Penn State down. They put Tennessee at 1. They put Clemson in the top 4. They put LSU at 10. These moves were made, and they were good moves, and they were the right moves to me. So I think the college football playoff kind of put on alert the AP and the coaches poll and said, I see what y'all are doing. I see you nasty. And I raise you with, let's actually look at what these teams have done. And for the first time in a long time, I think the college football playoff almost was like the righting of the ship, so to speak, the cleaning of these kind of ridiculous storylines this year to say, clearly Tennessee is the best team right now.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Alabama. I mean, I don't think Georgia has a quality win of that stature as of yet. You know what I'm saying? So
Penn State is their only win.
Yeah. So, you know what? They earned it. Not too many teams take down the Alabama team in the fashion that Tennessee did.
Yeah,
it's 52 points. 50-something points. To a Nick Saban defense, you don't really see that in this era. So, you know what? They've earned their spot to be number 1, and they're gonna have to keep earning it because they're gonna have a few more teams on their schedule they're gonna face that can challenge them before they even get to the SEC title game.
What did Nelly say? What does it take to be number 1?
Yeah.
So 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers.
Yeah.
So he was right about Ohio State, wrong about Georgia. People don't remember Georgia. But we'll see what happens here as we move on. Shout out to Kansas State for killing it this year, too. And TCU just, beating them head-to-head. LSU's had a great year, and nobody's talking about it. So I do want to give them credit where credit is due. Very proud of them. Maybe they're talking about it in Baton Rouge, but I don't hear a lot about LSU. So
yeah,
shout out to LSU. And
I think that Florida State loss kind of put a little damper on them a little bit. But
and Clemson in the top 4, as it should be. So I give them credit as well. I think we're going to see 2 SEC teams, and obviously they've already cleared a spot for the Big Ten, whether we like it or not. And if Clemson keeps winning, we'll see Clemson from here. So with that being said, we want to thank you for tuning in to this very special broadcast of Tortora and Alford inside a Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Tune in live every Monday through Friday in our regularly scheduled time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / WakeUpCallDT, WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage, and Facebook.com / LiveNowDT. Once we go live, we jump into the archives, and you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Thank you to our incredible partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Witty Wicks, the Wildcat Sports Pub, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Avacoles, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mon-Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man and Mother's Cupboard, and Wake Up Call is the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. Go to the Lemoyne tab on WakeUpCallDT.com. Your exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. Go to the BSC Syracuse tab on WakeUpCallDT.com. And, of course, to get all of our content with both of these schools and our exclusive partnerships, you can go to YouTube.com / WakeUpCallDT and simply click subscribe. With that being said, find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Kept my daughter up late, so happy to have her here. Cafe Kubal, thank you for the Cafe Kubal Studios and being our exclusive partner. Witty Wicks, thanks for decking out my studio and making it smell nice. The Cuse pillows right here. Cuse Home Sweet Home, 315 Syracuse, available while supplies last. The 315 Home Sweet Home signs and so many other things like the Upstate ornaments, the Upside Down Light from Outside Coleman's, the Upstate New York line, and all of the hats and shirts and sweatpants and shirts with the hoodie as well. Everything you can get to support Upstate and Central New York, which you know is what I'm all about and have always been, as I call this place home. So as we know, Isaac picked Syracuse, I picked Pitt, and the other current thing is Isaac 0, Chair 1. Any final word?
No, I'm just going to be ready to enjoy the weekend. Like you said, a weekend of 70 degrees. So
yeah,
if you're out there, enjoy your weekend and go Orange.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Gentlemen, go out there and give your best effort. I respect Syracuse. They're next man up. I don't know if it's ever been better than this year with the guys that have shown up due to injury. So God bless you all. Travel safe, be safe, and as I told you before, you get as many plastic bags as you can. Get across that border and make sure that you help out your brother over here back where they're free in Pennsylvania. We'll talk with you soon. God bless.